I think I'm live. Maybe, maybe I'm live. Maybe I'm live. Maybe I am. Yeah, I think I am. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I think I am. It's so different. YouTube is so different than Twitch. Seems like there's a lot. Yeah, 8-bit Mako. Hey, how's it going? Hopefully you can hear me okay. Like Emmanuel. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, message link shows offline. Hey, hopefully you guys can hear me. Can you hear me okay? Maybe? Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Good. Man, YouTube Live is, a little more challenging to get going, but, I gotta go now. I gotta do one more thing. I gotta do one more thing. Hey, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm right here, but, I do have to change one tiny setting real quick. Yeah, I'm on YouTube now. Been on YouTube for a long time. It's a long story. Basically, um, I got I I got banned on Twitch. No idea why. No idea why. I've been banned on Twitch for like 4 days, random. And so usually, today on Saturdays, I stream on Twitch. Stream on Twitch every Saturday. If Twitch had more than robots working at their headquarters, they would know that I'm a human being. Well, I don't know. I got an email 4 in the morning. I think it was Monday or Tuesday, saying your account was banned. Your account was banned for the following reasons, and it was basically saying that I'm a bot or I'm botting or something. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, that's weird. I'll get it solved. Like, no problem. Like, I totally get it. Like, I write code. I have a bot in my channel that responds back to people. But then, that's all. And it doesn't even respond to people. Well, I got to check. I got to check my code again. But it doesn't even like do anything unless I'm live. So, um, and so that's the only thing I can think of. That's the only thing I can think of. So I don't know. To make matters even worse, so then I go and file an appeal. I go to file the appeal. The appeal says, hey, you need to reset your password. I go to reset my password, and then it says something went wrong. So it's like, geez. Yeah. Anyways, this isn't I don't mean to pile on Twitch, but man, it's like, really, guys? The funniest thing is that I actually applied to be partner. Like right now, I'm being evaluated to be a Twitch partner, but yeah, that's probably not going to happen. So, anyways, give me one. Yeah, I don't have to say give me 1 second. I am going to do something really quick to try to get chat on screen. I had to scramble today to get everything working, and I know it. If you don't see what I do on Twitch, this is kind of new. But on Twitch, I do basically a live Q&A where we talk about stuff that we're doing in our home lab or things we're excited about in our home lab. And I'd love to do that here. I'd love to see how it goes. This might be the reason why I just start streaming on YouTube. I don't know. I'm a little bitter, but I can understand. But at the end of the day, like they have to have some humans to do something like that, to actually evaluate. And I don't think Twitch has enough humans doing things there. Or they're focusing on the wrong things, which is probably the case. So anyways, yeah, it is kind of silly. And I'm not too upset because, I mean, a lot of us are in IT or a lot of us work in tech. And so we have a high tolerance for technical pain. We have a high tolerance for technical pain. Password resets not working, something not powering on. You're like, okay, let's try it again. Oh, let's try it again. Oh, I totally get it. They reset your password, but it's not working. Or, we kind of have a high tolerance for technical pain. So I gave them the benefit of the doubt. And I thought, yeah, no big deal. No big deal. File an appeal. Get this all sorted out by Saturday. 4 days later. 4 days later, here I'm on YouTube. So it's good. It's good. Yeah, it's good. I'm on YouTube for sure. I keep saying give me 1 second, but I don't need a second. I'm just going to do something really quick just to see if I can get my chat on the screen like I used to, or like I did like I had working, I should say, on YouTube. Sorry, Twitch overlay. I don't know if it doesn't work. It's not a huge deal. I think I just need to pop out chat I'm a play-by-play kind of person. Are you guys play-by-play? Like, as you do something, you call it out as if it's like, helping you do stuff. So I'm gonna maximize this window. I'm gonna go back into live streaming and figure out where my live stream is. YouTube streaming is kind of different. It is different. It is kind of wild. It's a more professional platform. That's for sure. That's for sure. And I'm kind of used to the simplicity of Twitch. But YouTube is a more professional platform. Like when I mean, the way you stage up your live streams is way different than everywhere else, and I think I think it's good. Yeah, it's a great platform. Now, can I do this? I can't. Oh well, I don't think my live stream thing's gonna work. So yeah, yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but it doesn't matter. I'll read comments out. This is gonna be like old school, like what I used to do. And hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully this stream goes for a while. So I feel such a boomer when people mention Twitch. It's okay. No, it's all right. Like it's totally fine. Like you don't. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, all it is another live streaming. It's a live streaming platform, right? And there are a lot of niches in there, and a lot of it is geared towards gaming, and they kind of have their own, ecosystem culture, mostly geared towards gaming. And then they have, I don't want to say silly, but they have different names for different things. But at the end of the day, Twitch and YouTube almost have parity on features as far as live streaming goes. So if you think like, if you think like a super chat, right? And in YouTube, you have a super chat. That's basically like giving money to someone. Well, you have that in Twitch. It's called bits, right? It gets a little bit weird on the subs versus follow. So in Twitch, a follow is like a subscription on YouTube. When you click subscribe to someone, that's, hey, I want to see your content. On Twitch, it's called a follow. And so it's like, hey, I'm going to follow you because I want to see your content. But then it gets a little bit weird because on YouTube, you become a member. That's you're a paying member. You get a membership to this channel. And on YouTube, or on Twitch, that's called subscribe. It's kind of different. And I totally get why they did that, but they kind of messed up the paradigm for everyone else because everyone else, subscribe for a long time has always just been, follow. But anyways, yeah, I wouldn't feel bad. I wouldn't feel like a boomer either. Just so you don't understand. It's totally fine. There, there's some weird corners around there though too, but that's kind of where I started and that's where I was familiar. So I just kind of I don't know, wrote it out for a while. It's fun. What are we working on? All right, here we go. 8-bit Maiko, what are we working on? Okay, what are we working on? I want to get some PSP consoles with dead screens on the PSP Consolizer mod on them and give them a new life. That sounds great. So I don't even know what the PSP Consolizer is. So I know what, a PSP is. I know what having a dead screen is. I assume this is a way to hook it up so you could still play on your PSP and, give them a new life, be able to play on them. That sounds awesome. That sounds great. That sounds great. It sounds fun. Sounds fun for sure. I've been working on all kinds of stuff. It's been pretty wild. I need to lay off on the 3D printing. But that sounds like a great day. Like just a little bit earlier. So the whole story about today, it was kind of up in the air for a lot of reasons, not just because of Twitch. But I knew in my head I was like, okay, I'm gonna stream on YouTube today. But we had some visitors over most of the morning into the afternoon. So I was like, I'm not sure when they're leaving, and then when they leave, I have to scramble to try to get YouTube set up. So that's kind of what I've been working on today. Got up early and started cleaning. Not that fun. But outside of that, I know that a lot of people have been asking for, my home lab hardware tour. That's coming really soon. It might be tomorrow. I'm just gonna spill the beans. It might be tomorrow, and it might be Monday. I just got to finish editing. It's just a game of time, and so that's coming up soon. It's super fun when I release that video because a lot of folks either get inspired or tell me about their home lab, and that's what I love hearing about is hearing about other people's home labs because when I hear about them, I get inspired, and so a lot of people. I love it when people talk about their home lab in the comments or even here in chat because it gives me so many ideas. Like a lot of my ideas come from people's comments, and it's great. It's great. But that sounds awesome. 8-bit Mako. I want to say Mako. I'm going to say Mako. Mako. Yeah, I'm going to say Mako as if it's Japanese. But yeah, PSP consolizer. Yeah, want some more of that. You want some more of that. Grish, are you sure it's not phishing? Yeah, it's not phishing. Like, because I got the if I got an email from Twitch saying, yeah, I was banned, that's suspicious, right? That's suspicious. Don't click on links, try to go log into Twitch. And if you go there, it says this count does not exist. So, yeah, it's for real. It's for real. Never put your eggs. So 8-bit, never put all eggs in one basket. Glad you have YouTube too. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, my eggs are kind of scattered out, so Twitch was my live streaming, YouTube was my long form, and then I do, Instagram Reels when I have time, YouTube Shorts. I don't really do TikTok stuff, really. I mean, I don't even do Shorts. When I do create a short video, I try to post it on all platforms. So I try to be everywhere. That's, when you get into content creation, you kind of got to be everywhere. So every social media thing that pops up, you're like, okay, is this going to stick or not stick? And, every time something pops up like a new social media platform, you're like, okay, at what point do I start posting content there too? For the most part, it's going to be never, because I feel like we're maxed out on social media platforms. I mean, TikTok was an outlier, but for the most part, I don't know. I think it takes a huge amount of following to get a new platform off and going, or be something unique, or be first. And most people aren't going to start something that's first, and most people aren't going to start something that's unique, at least as far as social goes. But who knows? Who knows? Hey, big fan. Hey, GE, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm glad you are. Thank you. I appreciate that for sure. Speaking of, Ahoy says, when can we look forward to the yearly home lab tour? Looking forward to it. Hey, I should just read the comments a little bit faster. It's going to be tomorrow-ish, maybe. Gonna be tomorrow-ish. If I can get it done, tomorrow morning. If not, Monday for sure. I'm like on the home stretch. Like on the home stretch where I got to do the last 3 quarters of editing and then revisit the beginning because I edit all weird, and then refine the whole thing and then upload and then thumbnail with dumb face and details. That's it. So soon, for sure. Let's see. I don't try to peel their nonsense. I appreciate it. Let's see. Crispy. Hey, how's it going? Hi, Tim. Can I have you look at my very first mini PC that I just bought for my first ever home lab setup that I want to build? Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't have a way to look at it now, but I'd love to. There's a Discord that we have. I would tell you how to get there. I would post links, but I don't have a bot in this channel. It's probably how I got banned on Twitch. But if you just Google Techno Tim Discord, partner Discord, you'll find it. And it might even be in the links below. I'm not sure. I'm not used to streaming on YouTube. I think I do have in the description how to join our Discord. But that's a real easy way to show me what you're working on and show others too. If not, totally just ping me somewhere in some social network. Some social network. Rosa. So let's see. Rosa says, have you ever considered streaming on both platforms? Seems like a bit of work, but could be interesting. I did. I did consider it. But Twitch has this odd requirement that basically says like, hey, you can stream to multiple platforms at the same time, but you can't show the other platform's chat on your screen, and you can't combine chat and put it all in one screen. So they're basically saying, sure, stream other places, but ignore the others. And so what I've seen some people do is like put Twitch chat on the screen and then have a screen off of the screen where people are reading YouTube chat over here and then commenting on the stream. Meanwhile, the people from Twitch are like, what's going on? So, I mean, I totally get it why they do it. Because, it's like, I don't know. They want exclusivity for the streams. And, if you had a platform and you were like, yeah, you can stream on both things, you kind of be like, but wait, that's our competitor. So I don't know, but you can, but they have so many rules around it. I was just like, okay, I just don't want it to be weird. I mean, more weirder than my streams usually are. But I just don't want the stream to be weird where I have to focus on two things. And so I'm just like, well, I have a hard time focusing on one thing. So focusing on two is a lot. And right now, this is kind of almost tapping me out because I actually have to look through my chat and actually scroll through and stuff. I have a lot of automated stuff on Twitch. So, and where I could bring the chat up on screen, I'm half tempted to try to get this thing to work again. But I'm kind of scared to do it too. I should do it. I should do it really quick. Um, is this gonna work? Because that would be awesome. I don't know. Some session is loading, and maybe if I pop out. Oh gosh. Oh, I have history on chat, right? Oh yeah, I have history on chat. Oh man, yeah. I'm like not used to this. Dude, Christian, Kulia. Hey, thanks for speaking of become a member, dude. I think you became a member, dude. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm not used to seeing that in here, so I appreciate it. Let's see. I'll keep going through the comments. Have you? I looked at that. Keep it on YouTube. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm just gonna keep doing this, and yeah, I don't know. We'll figure out what's going on with Twitch. We'll see. Jim Profit, you should know better than anyone. The algorithm gets the first punch. Yeah. Yeah. It does. How's it going? Hey, Arendam. Hey, I'm good. Sorry I missed. What was the reasons you are trying out YouTube? Oh, I talked about it a little bit. I got banned, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. It's their appeal process is totally like it's opaque. You don't know what's going on. You don't even know if your appeal went anywhere. Even when you get banned, it's totally opaque. They just point you to their community guidelines and said you violated something in this 20-page thing, and you're just kind of like, okay, could you be a little more specific? So I don't know. It's silly. It's silly. If they just had a human being, it would solve all this in 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Just get some humans. So. Let's see. Jim Profit, bots are a term of service because people could definitely exploit with them. Yeah, I totally get it. And, I talked to PC Geek a little bit about it, earlier in the week. And, we were talking, he was saying, that's probably what it is. You have a bot in your channel that is me, that responds to people, with commands, when they type them. And so 99.9999% of my chats of me have been from my bot. And so that's something I should probably change, is not run my bot as myself, maybe create a bot account. But all the bot does is say like, hey, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for the bits. Thanks for this. If you need help, like, hey, a Discord link, you could do a Discord command and it will show it to you. So I don't know. Man, I feel like I'm going to have to rip that out. But change it. I should say change that, because I don't want to give up on that. Like, that's code I wrote. It's running in my home lab. It's running Kubernetes. It's self-hosted. It's fun. I have CI and CD that deploys my bot all the way to production on a commit. So it's fun doing that stuff. So I don't want to totally give up on it. But I should probably, maybe use a different account. That'd probably be a better idea. It's basically, well, I would say I'm basically running it as admin. I'm basically sudo, but I'm not sudoing it because this bot, I only granted it rights to a couple of things, like read chat. Basically it, read chat, and that's all it has. And so, even though the bot is running as me, when I do an OAuth grant and a token, I basically give myself, with this token, only rights to read chat. And so even though it's me, it's not like, hey, that's, I have a token that only allows me to read chat as a bot. Now it's getting weird. Now, the more I say it, I'm like, why did I even set it up this way? Oh, Christian Kula. Hello from Romania. A lot of valuable knowledge and inspiration I get from Tim from my home lab and business. Also, congratulations, Tim inspires. Thank you so much. And thank you for the membership. I appreciate it. Single core member. Thank you. I appreciate it. For sure. Let's see. Blow in the cartridge and reset. Man, c- chief torment officer. Man, you are bringing back some good ones. So yeah, there might be some youngins in the crowd that don't know what you're talking about when you say blowing the cartridge and reset. Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because I had a Nintendo, right? And if anything went wrong, the first thing you did was pull it out, you'd blow on it, and you'd put it back in, and it'd magically work. And you're like, sweet, yeah, got that dust out. I don't think it did anything. It was 100% placebo. But you know what? I mean, I knew people that licked it. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing with cartridges, And then there were weird, sometimes you could break your console to where like you had to jam the game in and then jam another game in to keep the game down and then it would play. Yeah. Or you would pull the cartridge out just slightly on, the NES and push it down so it's kind of scrape on the inside of the NES. And then you'd hit, and then you'd power it on. You'd be like, "Sweet, it works." Yeah, there were there were so many things you had to do to cartridges, and then after that, when with SNES or Super Nintendo, they just switched to popping the cartridge in. But NES, man, there were a lot of moving parts to that. It's like it was super cool that they did it, but if you think about the consoles right before it, like Atari, they didn't go that route. Jam the cartridge in the top. Nintendo wanted to do something different, which was awesome. Which was push the cartridge in, push it down. But yeah, it was awesome. So anyways, yeah, blowing the cartridge and reset. That's what I need to do to my Twitch account. Nice to be here. Thanks, John. Jang, I appreciate it. YouTube is better. Hey, thank you. Have you ever used StreamerBot, 8-bit Mako? I don't think I have. I don't know what that is. So no, I have no idea. I should use an official bot, but I kind of like writing the code for my stuff. And like I said, it's super low. Well, I should say what you can see is super low kind of effort stuff like chatbots and stuff like that. But I've also written code that people in chat can control this whole entire room. Like people can change the lights in my room. That's one thing. Can't do that on YouTube right now. I could probably figure it out if I wrote some more code. They could change the theme in this room when people subscribe or give bits. These lights flash back here. Like there's a lot going on in Twitch, and I should trigger it just to show you guys. But that stuff is code I wrote too, so it's kind of fun to write that code. And a lot of that code I wrote against Home Assistant, so it's pretty fun to be able to write a bot where I can, get to write some code because I love doing it. And then on top of that, write the code against Twitch's API, which is pretty fun. And then also write that code against the Home Assistant API, which is pretty fun too. So I'm kind of like, this bot listens for Twitch stuff. And when Twitch stuff happens, it tells Home Assistant to do stuff. So it's pretty cool. It's fun. So like, there were, people could change the theme in my room. And when they would do that, the bot in my home lab would then tell Home Assistant to change the theme in the room. So pretty fun stuff. So I'm not totally going to give up on it because I love doing that. But yeah, it's too bad. We'll see. Jim Profit, I've been watching you for a long time. Thank you. You convinced me to running lab and Proxmox my network. Hey, well, I don't know whether to say I'm sorry or you're welcome. But no, that's awesome. I'm glad you got to. Glad I inspired you to do that because a lot of people inspired me when I started, and so I'm just happy to kind of pass that on. I joke sometimes because like if I didn't inspire you to do Proxmox and stuff, you might have a lot of extra time on your hands, But it's fun. It's hobbies, Let's see. I enjoy Home Assistant. Very fun stuff. Mark, hey, I do too. I was just talking about it. Jim Profit, targeted our audience with YouTube. Yeah, I totally agree. It is. And not only that, a little bit of discovery too. A lot of, I guess I should say, a lot of kind of discovery. Way more than Twitch. Way more than Twitch. Yeah, most people just don't browse Twitch. They go to see the person they want to see. Every now and then something catches their eye. But on YouTube, as soon as you go to youtube.com, like everything's catching your eye. So, and a lot more eyeballs for sure. Flowdash, been working on learning Tailscale's API in Terraform. Made a basic website that allows people to create a Tailscale ACL through a GUI and all other aspects in Tailscale's ACLs, Terraform Tailscale is cool. That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome and scary at the same time. I say scary because, like, hey, you're allowing people to create ACLs for their Tailscale network. Maybe it's their own network, but that sounds awesome for sure. Okay, so let's break this down. So you're learning Tailscale API, sounds fun, and Terraform, awesome. Made a basic website that allows people to create Tailscale ACLs via GUI and all other aspect in Tailscale's ACLs. Cool. Yeah, that is cool. That is cool for sure. Because yeah, ACLs are not fun. It's isn't it just JSON? It's just like JSON, and you're just like, okay, let me, it's it's very similar to like AWS stuff. It's just a whole bunch of JSON, but that's really cool. I'd love to see the UI. I'd love to see it for sure, for sure. Here we go. I wish I could. I'm going with Ovin Randa. What are the top 5 things you want to test in your home lab in 2025? Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. The top 5. I don't even know if I can think of the top one. I mean, I could think of probably the top 1 or 2. So last year, it is last year now. Like last year, I moved some of my stuff to my co-location, and I think that stuff's cool. And so building site-to-site networking with VPN is super cool too. And while it's fun hosting stuff in a co-location, I still kind of want to host some stuff out of my house. So I'm trying to think what I'm trying to do is, what I want to do, this is what I hope to do, is create yet another Kubernetes cluster as if I need another one, but have my servers or, my etcd and my control plane at home safe, but have all of my worker nodes in, my co-location, so that, hey, everything, everything that has sensitive information, like etcd, etcd has everything. It has your secrets. It has a Kubernetes API. Like, keep that in my home on a different VLAN, of course, but have my worker nodes, in the co-location. And so what that opens up, and it might be with Tailscale, what that opens up is like a way to do this with public cloud too, right? So, why would I do this in public cloud when I have, self-hosting at home? It's probably the next question people are going to ask. Well, the nice part about it is that, like, you don't have to expose anything to the internet. And so, like, let's say you want to run a website, but you don't want to like expose your own stuff to the web. And then you might say, okay, well, what about Cloudflare tunnels? Yeah, but you're still like, exposing stuff, letting it into your network. And the cool thing is, if you could spin up, just agents in the cloud or in a co-location or someone else's data center, and have those come up and connect back to your control plane, and then you could push workloads to it. I think that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And so I don't know. I want to continue to do like this combination of edge computing, multiple zone edge computing, I guess I should say. Or maybe the edge is only, in my co-location. I don't know. That's stuff to figure out. I do, my stuff has been running so good in the co-location. I don't want to say I'm getting bored, but I almost want something to break. It's like running so good. I'm like, any day now, something's gonna break because I need some content for it. And no, it's just rock solid. So, the network has gone down a couple of times, and Will's told me ahead of time. That's the guy that I worked with that's here local that I share this co-location with. And but besides that, it's rock solid. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can upgrade hardware, or maybe I can swap out hardware. I talk about this a little bit in my home lab tour that's coming up in the next couple of days. I want to change some stuff up. Like, things are running so well now. Like, this is not my end game, but at the same time, like, things are running so good. I don't have anything to fix. So anyways, that's my one. I'd say that's my one for 2025 is really just, exploring more cloud and edge, and trying to figure out some kind of hybrid topology, where I can keep the most sensitive things at home and keep the workers or the agents, whatever you want to call them, on the edge, right? So they're the only ones that are vulnerable to any kind of attack. Meanwhile, all the sensitive stuff is not. It's like in my own network. So it's fun stuff. I mean, I kind of have stuff like that going now, but it's not as bulletproof as I want or repeatable as I want it to be. So I'd love to do some more Terraform stuff too. Like it's fun. I mean, I've done a lot for like work stuff and stuff like that. Um, I've been through a lot of the pains of trying to do stuff multi-cloud with Terraform, and on paper it looks great, but in practice it's really tough. But I'd love to do some more of that too. So I don't know, lots of stuff in 2025, and just more in general, I guess. Yeah. Wow. Man, don't hold me to this. Let's see. Fooled by primes. I'm digitizing old family VHS tapes. Pain in the booty. Two things. I kind of am too. Well, I'm on the journey. My journey is I have a bin full of VHS tapes, and I had the hardware to do it. I just haven't started yet. And I bought a VCR from Goodwill, so I'm like so ready to go, and I have the hardware to do it. And of course, I have the hardware here because I have video equipment and I could do it. But yeah, I haven't started. So you're ahead of me. And two, I like you say pain in the booty. That's funny because I say that too. But that sounds fun. I want to do that too. Like my so yeah, I just want to do it for my family. My grandmother passed away, a couple of years ago. My Japanese grandmother, and my dad, he misses, that's his mom. And so I'd like to get a lot of these converted so that he can see them. And so I've been debating like, oh, where do I put them after that? Do I put them on my Plex and tell my dad, hey, go to Plex? Do I put them on YouTube in a private account and say, hey, Dad, go to this YouTube? I don't know. Got to figure out like some easy distribution model, probably self-hosted. So family can get to it and not create like a ton of work for myself. So yeah, I mean, obviously the easiest thing, burn it on DVDs and send it to my dad. That is like the easiest thing. But I'm trying to think like, okay, well, how can I do this digitally and get it to him? Get it to him pretty easily, Yeah, it sounds fun. It sounds fun for sure. Oh my gosh, there is man, I need to get caught up on comments. This is what happens to me on Twitch too. Like I spend a lot of time on comments because I love talking about this stuff. And then I'm like, oh man, how do I get back to where I was? So okay, I'm just gonna keep going on comments just like I normally do. Let me grab a drink really quick. Oh man, my first stream. Hey, Bo. Hey, my first stream too. This is actually my second or third. I mean, it's technically my third ever on YouTube. My first one was like before I did home lab stuff, so it was playing games. My real first one was my celebrating my YouTube play button, and then my so this is technically my second as me home lab techno. So, oh man, let's I'm gonna speed up on comments, but yeah, keep throwing them in here. Sorry I missed you. How's it going? I'll try to find ones that are interesting for sure. And if I skip over, I do apologize. Just moved my services from the machine with storage to a new machine in preparation for a new storage server. Kaiser on the radio. That sounds awesome. I got a lot of that coming up too. That's kind of like number 4 on my list right now is redoing my storage server. Which I mean, you can guess which OS I'm going to use. And it's not totally redoing, but a lot of upgrades are coming. So I have CPU upgrades, I have fan upgrades, I have power supply upgrades, I have hard drive upgrades. So I'm totally gonna gut this server and try to get it back going. And then at the same time, move some of my workloads over there. So Kaiser, that sounds fun for sure. Self-run AI, Jim Profit. Yeah, I do self-host AI here for sure. Tom F. Hey Tim, thank you for inspiring me to build a home. Hey man, thank you. Thanks for showing up. Every time someone tells me thank you, I'm just like, man, thank you guys. Like, thanks for showing up. Like, you guys didn't show up, like, I wouldn't have a channel. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it for sure. And I mean it because, like, I say this on Twitch a lot. Like, I've streamed for a long time. Like, I've always found it to be fun to do live streams and talk with people and hear all these ideas and communicate in semi-real time because I get behind on comments. But there was a time on Twitch when I was only streaming to myself. One person, one viewer. And you know who that one viewer was? It was me in a Firefox browser. you know? So I like when I say, hey, I really appreciate you being here and showing up, I do, because I've been on the other side of it, and it's tough. It's tough. But yeah, Tom, no problem. Tom F. Flodash. Hey, how's it going? But also, yeah, the other thing I like about YouTube is because I get real names and real names or YouTube names, and I'm like, oh, that's the person that comments on my videos. With Twitch, it's like people pick a lot of times like different names, and I'm like, okay, I can't keep it all straight. They're like, hey, I'm Big Blue Bear on Twitch, but I'm Jim on YouTube, and I'm like, okay, I'll try to keep it straight. But Flodash says, I'm having weird issues with my Proxmox cluster where if I do anything write intensive on the boot local drive, RAID Z1, the host crashes randomly. Man, so if you do anything write intensive and it's RAID Z1, yeah, that's tough. I mean, you could try scrubbing your pool. You could try testing the drives. You could try looking at the logs. Like, yeah, that one's tough. I haven't run into anything like that, fortunately. I mean, outside of drives dying and the pool going into degraded state and me replacing the drive and it resilvering, I've been pretty lucky with ZFS. Like, it just works. And hard drives will fail, and when they do fail, I get alerted. I replace them. Actually, I don't replace them right away. Sometimes I feel like ZFS is just testing me, and they just want to see if I'm going to respond. And I'll act like I swapped out the drive. Yeah, sure, remove the drive, put in a new one. It's the same one. Sure, format it, or I format it before and I put it back. And if it starts resilvering, then I'm like, cool. Because I've had that a few times where, I mean, now looking back, the drive was bad, and I did that like 3 or 4 times. And I thought, hey, it's just ZFS, something quirky with it. But no, it ended up being the drive in the long run. So I don't recommend doing that. But yeah, it's I wish I could help. I mean, my only suggestion would be, look at the logs. I mean, that might tell you something. But run a scrub on that pool. Does it complete? And then yeah, and then if all that works, yeah, it's got to be something hardware, or just run your hard drive test. Whatever test you want to run, online, offline, to see if like any of the smart stuff fails or anything like that. That's tough though, because then you got to narrow it down to one of those drives. Valves, there's weird corners on YouTube too, to be honest. Yeah, there is. I agree. Zach, how's it going? This is Yakto, but I know him as, this is one that I remember because he's Yakto everywhere else, but he's Zach on YouTube. I was just talking about this. Hey, how's it going? Happy New Year and looking forward to the great content in 2025. Yeah, thanks, Yakto. I appreciate it. The Switch you sold me makes an appearance in the next video. So, but I appreciate that, man. How you doing? See, we have the CEO of YWS in here. He shows up on Twitch and he shows up here on YouTube. So I appreciate it, man. Good to see you. Alonzo, hello. VHS tips. Yeah, we talked about that. Yep, you guessed it right. Valps. I've been using a mini PC for the longest time as my home server. It died, so I decided to take the opportunity to build a tower server. So recently, been setting it up, learning Proxmox and such. Hey, that is awesome. And I love how you went from a mini PC to a larger machine. I think that's good. You might think like, oh man, that didn't work out so good, or that was a failure, or why'd I do that? I like that you started small and went big, because what I find a lot of times, I did this. I'm guilty of this too. I went all out. I'm like, yeah, give me multiple servers, give me, multi-core, give me cores. And while you're at it, give me, 2 slots for 2 CPUs. And each of those will have 24 cores, 48 threads, multi-power supplies. And don't get me wrong, some people can use that. Some people's going to use all that compute, all that RAM. But you'll find a lot of times, most people aren't even, they're not CPU bound, I guess I should say. That's the best way to put it, is that the first thing I think most people are going to run out of in their home lab is not going to be CPU. It's not going to be compute. It's either going to be RAM. Even RAM's kind of debatable, but it's going to be drive space, and not just bulk storage drive space, but super fast drive space. So, NVMe or SSD drive space. So, and really that, as long as you get some super fast storage and a decent amount of RAM, you're pretty good. Cause even if it's going to page stuff to disk, it's going to be on super fast disk. So with, super high random access. So, but yeah, congratulations. That's awesome. And I'm glad you went with the tower too. Cause like, I grew up building towers, so I have a soft spot in my heart for towers, even though, I rack mount everything now. But if you turn that on its side, even that one, it's kind of a tower still. But yeah, I love towers, like, because you can fit so much in them. I kind of miss the days of towers, I felt like, for a while, doing my home lab stuff, this is before I did YouTube, probably like 10 years ago. I feel like I was building a tower like once a year. Now I'm like, now I'm going to do a cube one. Now I'm going to do a mini ITX server. I went through so many home servers that I was like, yep, this is the perfect one. This is the perfect one. Sorry, planes flying by. You can probably hear that. But yeah, I miss it. I miss it. I miss it for sure. But congratulations. That is awesome. Proxmox is so fun. So much to learn there. And there's so much to do. And just when you think like, hey, I have all my virtual machines, everything's running great. Then you find something else to run, or you run some LXC containers. And you're like, wow, this is awesome. Now I don't need to run virtual machines for all my stuff. So yeah, it's super fun. And having a virtualization platform like Proxmox to be able to do all of these things, just like it just unlocks so many things that you can do. And so it's fun. It's fun. Abdullah Ari, hey, thanks for the traffic config. Hey, no problem at all. Traffic, yeah, yeah. I have a long history with traffic. It's been fun figuring that stuff out. Woohoo! Hopefully tomorrow. Thank you for getting me into home labbing. Hey, ahoy! No problem at all. I always say you're welcome, or I'm sorry. And so, just a little tongue in cheek to say like, I might have introduced you to a hobby that's going to take up a ton of time. But I think it's worth it in the end. You could be doing worse stuff, right? You could be doing worse stuff than learning technology and saving old machines. You could do a lot worse than that. Hey, Bo, my first stream. Hey, how's it going? Like yourself, I moved to Plex to a Windows VM. Seems to work better. Kaiser, yeah. I've moved my Plex all over the place. Right now, it's back on a Linux machine, a Linux virtual machine in Docker Compose. But it's going to move. It's going to move next month again. I've moved that thing everywhere. I've run Plex on everything. I mean, I've run it on Atom machines. I've run it on AMD, Intel, Xeons. I have run it on ARM. Not very well, but I did run it on a Pi. No transcoding. And then I've run it on Windows. I've obviously run it on Linux. I've run it on Linux desktop just to test, for some of my videos, but Linux server, that's what I'm doing now, Ubuntu. And it's going to be going over to Debian probably because it might start running on my NAS. So we'll see. I've run it everywhere. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Yeah, it's weird too. Like it runs great on Windows for sure. But the funny thing is like, it doesn't support like, is it HDR content or something? I think it's I don't know, HDR content. It's like really like the drivers that are most developed and the software that's most developed on Windows, like it can't support HDR content, but you can on open source platforms. It just seems backwards to me. Usually it's like, yeah, all the stuff works on Windows, but 5 things don't work on Linux. And so it seems backwards to me, but hey, that's a good thing. It's a good thing. Let's see, 8-bit Mako. I've been using my old 3D print spools painted with LED light strips and transparent filament insets for some moonlight wall lamps. Nice. They look like big Oreo cookies on my wall when turned off. Hey, I know exactly what you're talking about. Because you got your old spools, and they might have holes in them. But yeah, so you wrapped them up, put some LED lights in them. That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome for sure. For sure. I was just downstairs cranking away. I printed this big, man, I won't go into 3D printing, but I printed this big crank spooler to transfer filament from one to another. And I found a good model that like doesn't require a degree in engineering. And because most of them are like, here's the 52 steps and here's all the parts you need to buy. This one that I found is this guy basically said, I built this because I can't believe how over engineered all these things were. And so he built it and it takes 0 parts. You print every single part. Anyways, long story short, I was down there cranking it and I don't know. 3D printing is weird because it's like, I don't want to start talking about it because I'll talk about it for a long time. But it's funny. It's like if I didn't have a 3D printer, I would have a lot less stuff to do. It's like you buy it, at least for me, I bought a 3D printer, but then because I bought a 3D printer, now I need to print all these things from my 3D printer. And so I mean, I'm getting to the end of it, I think, but like, if you have a 3D printer, you might know what I mean if you got bit by the bug like I do, but it's like all of a sudden I bought this 3D printer. Now I made a ton of work for me to do. Now I'm printing all these parts and accessories for my 3D printer to make my 3D printer better. But if I didn't have this, I wouldn't have all of this to do. So it's a weird hobby, but it's super fun. So, anyways, I'd love to see those spools. I'd love to see those spools. Shooter McGavin, hey, Techno Tim, love your tutorials. Would greatly benefit from a CI/CD dev production walkthrough for programmers. All right, how you code, store, test, deploy to production. Keep killing it, bro. Shooter, dude. Shooter McGavin, dude. That I live that all day. That what you just described that's my day job. So that's my day job. That's my wheelhouse. But yeah, I'd love to anytime. I've learned that not all of the content that I want to make, ends up on this channel. And so I created a second channel, and it's my Techno Tim Tinkers channel. And that sounds like a great place that I might put some content like that. Because I still want to do it. I still want to create content that might not, appease the algorithm. So I'll probably put it there. But yeah, it's super fun. Like I love, like I was just talking about a little bit earlier, working on my bots, my channel bots for either Discord or Twitch or whatever. I could commit code right here, tag the code, push it up, and I'd say about 10 minutes later, it's in my production. And that all I did was tag and push. And so what does that mean? Well, okay, so I pushed it up to Git, right? Git gets an event, kicks off CI/CD. GitLab will start up a runner. My runner's running Kubernetes. They say, hey, I have a new job. The first thing it'll do is run my tests, run linting, run test. Did it pass those tests? If it does pass, then it goes to the next step. If it doesn't, kicks it back, says, we're not proceeding. The next one is like, okay, so I ran the test. Those are good. So now I'm going to pull it down. I'm going to build it for production, whatever that means in your code, production mode, enable production mode. So it's different APIs. You take out a lot of debugging stuff, all that stuff you do for production code, and then put it inside of a container. So that step puts it inside of a Docker container and then pushes it up to a registry. So it's like, cool, here's your container. Here's this, service in a container that's ready to run. It's, here's your image, right? Here's your image. And then the next step says, okay, what do I do? Well, I'm going to pull down that image. Actually, it doesn't pull down. It's easy to think about, but the last step is really, hey, I'm going to deploy it to Kubernetes. And really, a deploy to Kubernetes isn't like taking something and pushing it to Kubernetes. This is, it's telling Kubernetes to pull that out of the registry, out of that container image registry. So that's all it does in my deploy step. It's like, hey, Kubernetes, that image I just built, yeah, will you go and pull that down and put it into the cluster? Okay, thanks, bye. And that's your deploy step. And then Kubernetes takes over and it's like, okay, I'm going to pull this image. Okay, I'm going to replace all of the pods. I have 3 or 4, one pod or multiple containers. I'm going to kill one off, spin up one in its place, run my checks. Okay, kill the next one off, replace it with the newer version, still running good. Okay, kill the last one off, put a new one in, and then we're all good. So yeah, it's, I mean, that's it in a nutshell. It's a large part of, I would say it's a large part of what I do. It's a large part of what I automated almost everywhere I work, so I don't have to do it anymore. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to talk about that stuff. 8-bit Oni, have you done an AI server before? Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have a video on it. Yeah, so I have done an AI server. I have an AI stack. It's running a couple things, but it's running Llama and then Ollama, Llama LLMs, running Ollama, the API, and then also running, what is it running? Open Web UI for chat, just basically get my local chat GPT for lack of a better term. And then, I I forgot what else. So I have Home Assistant and Faster Whisper working in there. Um, I don't know, a couple other things I slips in my mind. Oh, image generation too. So yeah, I played with it a bit. It's running. Like I can go and pull down the latest llama image right now. I forget which one I'm running, maybe 3B. Um, I run right now in chat local with my own local chat bot. So it's pretty awesome. It's pretty fun. And they're getting way better. I mean, the models though in ChatGPT are like so good, because they're pouring billions of dollars into it and training these. But local ones, I think, are good enough for most stuff, especially for tech debugging stuff. It's for that kind of stuff, it's great. It's great. It's when you start to get into like, a little more logic and reason where they need some work. But don't forget Patreon too, Mako. Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, I do have Patreon. I appreciate it. Let's see. Christian, I'm working on self-hosted services. I want them for my smartphone and home lab. Nice. Make tests also for new hosted services for my customers. Yeah. It is super fun. It is super fun to host stuff. And just know that you own the data, you own the service for better or worse. You own the uptime. But I think it's fun. I love building services that people use. That's how I've been for a long time with software engineering too. My day job, my day job half the week. I love it. Like there's something in my brain that says like, if I build something and someone uses it, to me, that's like a reward. That's like, gratification to me is to say that, hey, I built this thing that someone's using. And there's something about that just makes me feel good about what I'm doing. And so that's also why I like self-hosting stuff too, is because like I get to provide a service for somebody. Mostly it's me or my wife, but every now and then, it's friends or family and stuff. And so it's fun. It's very rewarding, at least for me, to know that people are like, that thing Tim has. Yeah, I'm totally going to use it for sure. Live on Saturday on YouTube. Long time since the stream. Yeah, Tim, it has been. Backup rules, but for platforms. Vlips. Yeah, Vlipes. Yeah, so we're going back into, backup rules. So 3, 2, 1. YouTube is kind of my backup plan. It really is never meant to be, but it is now. I didn't think I was ever going to get banned on Twitch, but for some reason I got banned, and hopefully they figure it out. So, Avalanche. Speaking of, if you don't mind me asking, maybe sharing what happened. How did your Twitch account get banned? No, I don't know. That's the $1 million question. That's why I'm here right now. For those just tuning in, got an email at 4 a.m. This is like 4:11 a.m. Very specific, which tells me that it was a bot. It was an automated, ban. I mean, for the most part, just a weird time to ban someone. I get it that they're going to have some people up 24/7, but it sounds to me like I set off some alarm somewhere, or they had a mistake, which is I'm betting on. Anyway, got the email that says I violated. I got to be careful how I word this. I violated one of the community guidelines, and the community guidelines was automated account or a bot account. That's it, and they're like, read section 8, and it's like 20 pages long. It's like, like what am I supposed to do with that? Thanks for being specific. So anyways, I chalked it up as like, I mean, maybe I don't know what happened. Like I have a bot in my chat that responds to people when I'm live and will help like change the lights in my room, but only when I'm live. So I don't know. I don't know, honestly. And I honestly thought it would just be no big deal. I thought, like I said earlier, I thought like, mistake. No harm, no foul. I'm not streaming until Saturday, so cool. I'll appeal it and I'll hear from someone. Nope. And I get it. It's a skeleton crew this week because of New Year's and stuff like that. Like, I totally get it. But, at the same time, like, how many people are they banning per day and how many appeals do they have to go through? And on top of that, like, don't I have like a little bit of clout? Like, hey, this guy has been streaming here for 5 years. He's never done anything wrong. He like has followers. He like has subscribers. Like maybe we should look into this. But yeah. Anyways, it's a weird. It's weird, and I'm not a partner, so I'm just like every other affiliate there, where you don't have anyone to talk to except for a form. So, anyways, I'm not mad. It got me on here, so that's pretty cool. So now I'm a little more educated on how to stream on YouTube. So, anyways, next time I'll have chat on the screen. I'll have chat on the screen for sure. Oh, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going because I want to make sure I get to all of your comments. Have you looked at Ohmcast? I have before, but that's tough. Streaming. Yes, basically streaming direct. That would be tough because I'd have to have a ton of bandwidth, or I'd have to use Cloudflare or someone to basically be like a repeater for me. Even if I got 100 people on a stream, 100 people using 5 to 8 kilobits per second, or yeah, 8,000 kilobits. So 5, 8, 9, 10 megabits per second. I get 100 of those people. There's a gigabit. And I run out of bandwidth. So it's definitely cool. But I'd have to have some kind of CDN, or I don't know what they're called for live content. I assume something similar. But yeah. It sounds cool. Sounds cool for sure. Let me see. Hello, Tim. Hello. Editing is the bane of my existence. Bo, yeah, editing is tough. It is tough. Yeah, every now and then I'm like, yeah, I wish I could hire an editor to do this for me. But then, like, if I did that, then it would just create more work for me, because then I'd have to write more, I'd have to record more, and I'd have to then get it to the editor, which is, sounds good in practice, but it's like, I'm not trying to scale up me. And I can't scale me. It's only me. So, and to be honest, for me in the creative process, the easiest thing for me to procrastinate is writing the script, because that's starting, so the start of the new is kind of where I can procrastinate. And sometimes after releasing a video, like it's so much work, and you guys are probably like, you big baby, it's not that much work. It's a lot. And there's a lot of pressure on every video, where I just want to okay, tune out for a day and work on tech stuff or something. And it's, a lot of times I don't have time to do that. So anyways, yeah, it's fun. It's all fun though. Docker Homebridge, HomeKit support for the impatient Docker x86. Yeah. So I know Homebridge. I used to use it a lot. It's HomeKit for the impatient. It's almost like you copy and paste that. But yeah, so I've used it. Pretty fun. I did switch over. I was using Homebridge. That was before I was using Home Assistant. And so that was an easy way to get HomeKit devices, or non-HomeKit devices, into HomeKit. So if you're not Apple, you don't use Apple stuff, it was basically, Apple certifies hardware. There's a lot of hardware that Apple didn't certify. And so you'd run this piece of software that would be, an interface in between unsupported hardware and Apple HomeKit, which is Apple Home, their automation system. And so that would be the interface. And so that would give you all of these devices inside of there. And I used to use it, but after going to Home Assistant, they have Homebridge built in, like not Homebridge, a HomeKit plugin built in. So it's like you don't even need it anymore if you go to Home Assistant. Even if you go to Home Assistant and just use that, it's still pretty awesome. Let's see. Do you have FFmpeg or any audio video processing or archiving tasks? No, I don't. And I only recently just started deleting stuff. I was talking to Raid Owl for a long time, and I was talking to Gearling, and I've saved every piece of content that I've ever recorded. And after talking to Raid Owl for a little bit, Brett, I guess I should say, I just kind of decided I don't need 1,000 hours of me messing up, reading scripts, and that the final product, for the most part, is the most that I need. I did save my B-roll though, even though I have terrible B-roll. So I did save that. So I'm at a point now where I'm like, I'm not going to record the A-roll. So if you don't know A-roll, B-roll, A is what you see right now. B-roll would be the B-roll if I was going to play something, some video on top of me speaking, that would be the B-roll. So I keep that because usually that's product stuff or screenshot stuff that could be handy later on. But the A-roll of me talking really isn't helpful because I'm never going to take that A roll and put it in something else. And if I do need that, I'll just go back to the YouTube video and download it and edit it from there. So I just started deleting stuff. And even just yesterday when I was editing, I needed something. I was like, oh yeah, I deleted those folders. Now I have to figure out where they are. So anyways, so no, lately I've been recording in H.265, which, it's more compressed, smaller files, and but it uses more processing power to view it. But I'm just storing it like that. Might change that too. Have you ever thought about quitting YouTube? Just from a creator's perspective. So this is from Bustlin' Babies. Um, uh, Let me see. I have seen lots of my favorite in recent months, years drop off lately. Bustin'. Have I ever thought about quitting? No. I mean, have I imagined a time where people don't watch me anymore? Yeah, I have. Yeah, I mean, every video I release, I'm like, am I losing it? What's going on? So I mean, there's constantly. I mean, that's probably my own insecurity, and a lot of people probably don't think about that. But every video I release, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, oh, I hope people like it. I hope YouTube pushes it out. And so I'm not necessarily like, I'm not thinking about like, oh, I'm going to quit now because things aren't working out that way. No, I think for me, it's fun. And for me, this is like kind of like one of my few creative outlets. I mean, I got a 3D printer now. That's kind of creative. I'm not going to quit YouTube for it though. But before that, I've just been all tech all the time. And it was all tech plus gaming. And so I've replayed it was all tech plus gaming plus home labbing. And I would flip flop back and forth between gaming and home labbing, depending on the season. I'd usually play games like during the summer. Most people would be outside, not me. That was kind of my gaming marathon. And then, the colder months was home labbing. And so I'd upgrade everything during, the fall and winter months to last me until next time. Anyways, so this is kind of like my kind of creative outlet, one of the few that I have, and I don't want to give it up. And for me, it's all fun. Like earlier I was saying, I do software engineering. I'm a software developer, that's it's still tech, but it's a different skill. And so like I don't do like infrastructure as a hobby, or I don't do infrastructure as a job. It's infrastructure as a hobby for me. That's why I put it on my home lab t-shirts, infrastructure as a hobby, because that's what it is. And if it weren't for this, while I still would do some infrastructure, it would all be cloud-based. It would all be 100% cloud-based, like nothing physical I could touch. And so, this gives me an opportunity to still play with networking, play with hardware, overbuild everything in my basement. So, and so, you know, I no, I to answer your question, no, I never thought of quitting because that for me it would be kind of like quitting home labbing because now they're together. And my channel has always kind of been like the projects I work on the week before. So when you see a video, most likely did it the week before, and that was really a project for me. And so I kind of keep it like that. And so I figured, if I'm going to do this project, hey, I'm gonna record it too. And that's why, like, some videos that I make aren't that popular, and that's okay with me. I mean, yeah, inside I'm kind of like, man, that stinks. Wish people liked it. And it's not even about you or anyone who's watching this now. It's about YouTube saying like this video isn't going to perform well, so we're not going to show it to people. That's kind of how it works. But when that happens, that's a big bummer for anyone that creates content because like you want people to see it. I mean, that's why you create it. So you just want to share stuff. Anyways, long story short, this is like getting into like I feel like I'm in therapy. Like, how much do I owe you after this session? I'm kidding. But no, haven't thought of quitting. I would love to do this until I die. I really would. Even if it was just a hobby, just doing it. Yeah, absolutely. There's something fun about doing tech stuff, recording it, and then telling people about it. I don't know. I've always kind of been that way. But I never. Outside of, having a camcorder or something, I never really had a platform to do it other than like, hey, look at this. Here's me on my phone talking about this. So now I have a platform to do it. So it's kind of fun. Let's see. Gotta encode a stream per platform. Yeah, good call. Yeah, so yeah. I know what I was talking about. Hey Tim, just got a Dell 1U. This is from John Markley. Dell 1U running Proxmox with 7 VM clients. Yes, that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. Sounds like you got a lot of flash storage in there too, because if you have that many clients or virtual machines or guests on there, yeah, you got a lot of I/O going on. So sounds awesome. That is awesome. I bet a lot of SSD or a lot of NVMe's, or you just shut them down. Only run 2, 3 at a time. Christian, here we go. Christian, I want to use a HP microserver Gen 8 HP DL320 G8 V2 DL20 G9 for their low power consumption, 20 to 39. 20 to 39. That is awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, that would be 20 to 39 is really good for a server. Really good. I mean, it's not Jeff Geerling, Raspberry Pi good, but for a server, yeah, that's really good. That is really good. So cool. Man, I need some of that in my life. I like that. My Linux workstation back there, I've still been working on it a little bit. But I'm like stuck at 44 watts. I'm like, dude, this thing isn't doing anything at all, and I have E-cores, so I need to tweak it a little bit. What I'm actually going to do here soon is install Windows on it, run the same kind of performance test, and see if like maybe Linux isn't taking advantage of those E-cores like it should. So, let me see. Let me see. Wow, I didn't know you got banned. Oh yeah. So we talked about that. Yeah, my server's basically an old PC with some drives put into it. Vlipes. Yeah. Hey, that is totally awesome. That is totally awesome that, your home lab is something that was destined for the trash and like it serves a purpose and you use it. No, that is so awesome. And, I say this all the time on Twitch, but I realize there's a different audience probably here now, but like your home lab is like whatever you make of it. And, if you get value out of it and you get what you want out of it, that is good enough. And that is good enough. That is more than good enough. That is great. And, my home lab, a lot of it I have to do for YouTube, right? Like, I guess that's what I decided when I started showing off my server stuff. Like, I need to make it look nice. I need to have newer things in there. And I just decided at some point, like, I need to make it, look nice. And you can get by with so much less than what I have. And so I always feel bad when people are like, yeah, I have this computer, but it's not as good as yours. I'm like, dude, like if you're using their computer and you're getting value out of it and you're running services on it and you get exactly what you need out of it and it's just one computer, you should be happy. You should be happy and say, yes, I can run this one thing. I don't need all the complexity and it does everything I want. So I also want people to know that too. It's like, it doesn't have to be crazy and complex like mine. And I know a lot of people, at least in, Twitch chat, they'd always say like, mine's not as good as yours. No, yours is way better than mine and great. If you are running an old machine with a couple of old drives and it gives you everything that you need, yours is way better than mine for sure. So, let's see. YouTube stream, but trying to get on IoT VLAN setup. Okay, Satya Smart. If I have a layer 3 switch, do I need to also have a VLAN aware Wi-Fi router for all my devices? Yes, hoping I don't need to replace this router. Do you need to? For the most part, yeah. Like, unless you want to put that whole entire like router, Wi-Fi, basically all your SSIDs on the same VLAN, then yeah, you do. But if you want to have one dedicated VLAN, you could only tag those packets and send it to that router, so it's only on that VLAN. But that would mean all your SSIDs, you basically only need one now, and it's your dedicated, IoT access point router. So, in general, yeah, you want to have VLAN support all the way through, because otherwise, the last hop, whatever network you put them on, that's kind of what they're going to be on. So everything downstream from there, at least how I understand it, because I've done that before with dumb switches, right? I had a 2.5 gigabit dumb switch, and as I was doing tested on my mini rack build, my 10-inch rack build, I didn't have a smart switch, so I was like, just gonna put this on the IoT VLAN, and then all the machines that joined were on the IoT VLAN. I'm like, cool, that's good enough to keep it separated. So, oh yeah, holy brightness, Batman. Yeah, it is bright in here. It is bright in here. It usually gets pretty hot in here. And I'm having a little bit of trouble with like my camera. That's another reason why I was a little bit late. I'm gonna blame it on Twitch and YouTube, but I had to like factory reset my camera. Something's going weird with it. I don't know. I don't know. I bought a new camera and I'm not having buyer's remorse, but I thought things would, I don't know, be a little bit better than I had before. So anyways, I won't get into it, but yeah, I went with the Sony Cinema line and it's great, but I feel like I could have probably got by a little bit longer with my A6400 back there. The only thing that I really got out of this camera, I got a lot. I shouldn't say that. But the biggest thing out of the upgrade was image stabilization, which is awesome because, that thing has 0 image stabilization. And if I even breathe, it's like on camera, it looks like there's an earthquake if I even hold it. And plus I drink a lot of coffee. So it's like, oh man, I can't drink coffee and film at the same time. So, let's see. Spencer, let me grab a drink. I don't even know how long I'm going to stream today. Like, this is totally off the cuff for the most part. Kind of, sort of. Oh, PC Geek, that was you. Holy brightness, Batman. Yeah, it is a little bit brighter than usual because I don't know. Like I was saying, my color settings are a little bit weird because I had to factory reset everything, and I'm just like, well, I could mess around with my camera for 20 more minutes, or I can just press stream. And so I decided I'm going to press stream. Banana. Yeah, it doesn't work here. It doesn't work here. Spencer, thanks a lot, Tim, for creating fantastic content. Hey, you're welcome. I recently became a subscriber. Thank you. And I'm thrilled to be here. I'm particularly, that one's always hard for me to say, interested in learning about Home Lab. Hey, Spencer, hey, you're in good company. You're in good company. Yeah, it's whatever you make of it. I kind of put it that way. Like, everyone has their own perspective on what it is. Like, you might lean more towards storage and NASs and doing a lot of cool stuff with storage. You might lean more towards networking and doing high-speed networking or wireless networking or long-range networking. Or you might go into self-hosting applications and you want to self-host all kinds of stuff for all different kinds of people or just yourself. Or you just want some hardware to, build and tear down and test stuff on. So it's a lot of things to a lot of different people. And I think you're in good company. You're in good company for sure. For sure. Let's see. Back in the day, Alexa is supposed to, yeah. So going back to the Nintendo, blowing in the cartridge. Yeah. Except you were not supposed to do that, but I remember doing that back in the day. Yeah, me too. Maybe the trick was not to blow on it, but reset by taking out the cartridge. Yeah, for sure. Everyone blew in it. And it's funny, like back in the day, like those kind of things, that was all like the world may never know, like urban legends or like myths again, or like these kind of tribal knowledge type things that you passed on. When I was younger, I didn't have the internet for the most part for a lot of my childhood. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I had it during some. Anyways, when I played Nintendo, I didn't have the internet, and so I couldn't look up how to beat games. I just had to beat them. And at the time, I'd have one cartridge that I either rented and I'd have to beat it in 3 days, or it was going back, or I could rent it again. And then on top of that, like there were no cheat codes. Like there could have been, but like there was no way to like figure this out unless you talked to someone and they told you it too. And so it was a lot of word of mouth. But then I got Nintendo Power, and that was awesome. And then I got the Ultimate Nintendo Player's Guide, which had some codes in it. And then there was like these Nintendo hotlines you can call in, and it was expensive. My parents let me call in once, and it was like it was like $2 a minute or something crazy. But they let me call in once, and it was over before you knew it. But you could call in these professionals and talk to them and how to beat a game. It's so weird and so awesome at the same time. But anyways, yeah, it's just funny to think like, is that gone forever? Like this whole like, I don't know, urban legend type thing. Because now we have the internet and information spread so fast. Like maybe the urban legend just spreads faster. I don't know, but yeah, it's a good day, good times back then. Uh, Thank you, Tim, for all your videos. It has been a great boon in my home life. Hey, no problem. Choopy Choops. Cleaning cartridges. Oh gosh, yes, I had to do that in my Nintendo 64. Yeah, and then they had the cleaning kits. Yeah, and then there was a whole thing. There was a whole thing with cleaning kits, and you get alcohol and swab and clean them off and clean off, the metal, and make it real clean. And then you got the other cartridge, the cleaning cartridge, and push it in and out. Same with CD cleaners and all this stuff. Like we were cleaning a lot of stuff, in the 90s. It was like clean your cartridges, clean maybe your VCRs if you still had them, clean your CD players, clean your DVD players. They were selling all kinds of things to clean all kinds of electronics as if they were all dirty in the 90s. Everything needed to be cleaned. Yeah. Well, I guess if you're, all that spit and blowing on it, yeah, you got to clean them somehow. So for sure. Yeah. Good times when I was younger. It's funny to look back at some of that stuff. 8-bit Oni. Don't forget waiting for the light to turn green instead of blinking. LOL. Oh yeah, for the YouTube live stuff. Yeah, I don't. Going live on YouTube is way different. I think I figured it out now. But this is only technically my third live stream ever, and so there's it's been years since I've done the last one on YouTube, and so I remember nothing other than like you kind of have to go live and then you really go live. In my head, that's what I think. Oh yeah, I got to set up the live stream, and then I really go live. So it's like you got to go live twice, on YouTube and Twitch. It's one. I just press a button and I'm on. So, anyways, yeah, it's super fun. Hello from Slovenia, first time writer, long time watcher. Hey, Big Pod, thank you, appreciate it. How you doing? Let's see. It does some crazy stuff. Yeah, you should have party mode every time someone becomes a member. Jim Profit, yeah, for sure. For sure, I should have party mode. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I have party mode here. I could actually show it. I mean, it's not as fun. I don't know where my remote is, but I can do it. I can do it in Home Assistant too. Can I do it in Home Assistant? I mean, that's how it comes out, but I wrote the code. But then do I have party mode? Funny, I wrote the code to do it, but I don't think I ever created a button to do it in Home Assistant. So I do it in code, but I don't even have a button to toggle it on. But anyways, yeah, there is a party mode. I should grab the remote. Yeah, so that's party mode. So yeah, so this triggers automatically. So yeah, if like no, I like your idea about if someone becomes a member, yeah, this should flash. But that's what happens on YouTube. Sorry, that's what happens on Twitch when someone subscribes, which is the YouTube equivalent of become a member. So yeah, and then like, people can change the themes in here and I have all different kinds of themes. It's fun. So yeah, if yeah, I should just wire that up to YouTube too, because it's like, why not? Why not? Why not? Let's see. His lights used to flash even when oh yeah. Yeah, so that's funny. So PC Geek says his lights used to flash even when he wasn't live when someone resubbed. Yeah. So a funny story about that, you can actually see it. So I joined a live stream with Tom Lawrence, and I'm like, dude, this is Tom Lawrence. This is awesome, man. One of the first times, it's either the first or second time, but I think it was the first time streaming with him. I was super nervous. It's Tom. He's super awesome anyways. And all of a sudden I kind of see my lights flashing in the background as I'm talking to Tom, and I'm like, oh crap, like someone just resubbed and I left these lights on. So I'm like trying to turn it off behind me. And then like I'm trying to go into my Kubernetes cluster and shut it down. Cause then, the people in Discord, they're like, oh, he left his lights on and he's on YouTube, but I can go to Twitch and I can change the lights in his room. So lights are turning on and off and flashing. So I'm like trying to turn it off. And then I'm like, kube control, delete deployment, off to the side and try not to, make it obvious that I'm doing something. Anyways, what I ended up doing was shutting down that service while I was talking to Tom. And then after I wrote a whole bunch of code to say, hey, if Tim's live, do the stuff. If Tim's not live, don't do this stuff. And so Yeah, it actually went off during a Zoom meeting too. When I was on a Zoom meeting, just went off, and people were like, "What is going on in there? Why does this guy have like all these lights flashing back here?" So it was pretty fun. But yeah, that was good times when you guys were like totally trolling me, and like you knew I left him on, and I was like, "Oh crap." Totally. So let's see. Hello from Slovenia. Yeah. Hello. Lots of hellos. Hello. Hello. His lights used to flash. Yes, they did. Hi from Germany. Hello. Hello. Wie geht's heute? Wie geht's? Wie ist das Wetter? And viel Glück. That's about all I know. And listo. That's all I remember from German class. But how's it going? Hey, from the US. That's really cool, though. Next level. Thank you. Seth, yes or no? Big Pod. Yeah, I say yeah. I said yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you need a distributed file system, yeah, you don't have a ton of options. Yes. So I say yes. In general, is it just something you adopt just because? Probably not. But if you have a use case for distributed high availability storage, absolutely, that's the way to go. But you got to remember, you got to have fast storage, you got to have multiple machines, you got to have a fast network, maybe a network dedicated just to the data network. So, a lot of planning goes up front. But if you're just testing and doing it, absolutely, try it out for sure. Juan Jose Porras, quite an honor to be here watching this live. Hey, thank you. Cheers from Costa Rica. Hey, how's it going? Cheers from US. I know one person in Costa Rica. His name is Anthony. But there are probably a lot of Anthony's there. But just saying, hey, I know one person. Brock, well, now I know two. Juan Jose Porras. Brock Bro Takul. I'm here just to say I love Proxmox. All right. I love it. I love it when Proxmox people show up. For sure. I'm trying to get to the comments. For sure. I want to make sure that I'm getting all of these because man, oh man, there are a lot. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm gonna look for questions. How about that? Here we go. Speaking of, I just want to make sure that I'm not like straight up like skipping over one. I took my desktop, turned it into a server, run VMs. Awesome. Buy or build a NAS. On the fence between the two, just using one. So this is from Dan Folks. Home Labber and me says build one. I personally I build my own. I host my own. I like doing that sort of thing, right? And so it really depends on your appetite for supporting the thing, right? And so, are you comfortable with picking out your own hardware? Are you comfortable with maybe using the CLI in Linux if you really had to? Are you comfortable, using something open source? That's going to have a lot of support, but at the end of the day, no one to call, and a lot of forum stuff, a lot of support, community support, I guess I should say. Those are all questions you got to ask yourself. And if you're kind of like, maybe not, there are platforms out there that, Synology is the one that a lot of people point to. If like you want storage and you want no fuss, and you just want to have storage and backups, that's one that people choose. And like, if a family member was saying to me, like, hey, I need storage in my home. Well, one, I'd probably spin up a NAS and manage it myself and all of that. But if it's extended family or something and they were just like, hey, I just want to buy something, I'd tell them go with Synology because it's so easy. At least for, I'd say, on the slightly on the techie side of non-techie side, it's pretty easy. And so, but me personally, I say build it. I say build it. It's fun. And you have a few options if you're going to build it. You have a few different ways you can go. There's TrueNAS, there's Unraid, and now there's HexOS. Casa OS, kind of sort of. A lot of people say, hey, what about Casa OS? I would argue that Casa OS in its current state is more of a app engine. Because they don't support true RAID, so you don't have any protection at all. Although you can set up file shares and store them. And so at the end of the day, like, hey, that's a NAS's job, network attached storage. Whether it's redundant or backed up or not, or any redundancy, I guess is a detail. But you have a lot of options, and if you want something fully customized that you own, and at the end of the day, it's your hardware, it's your software that you want to run, and if in 2 years you don't want to run an NAS anymore and you want to run a Linux server, yeah, absolutely build your own. I mean, that's my go-to for anyone. But when it gets outside of the the home lab circle, then I'm kind of like, okay, have you used the CLI before, and are you comfortable? Yes, no, and that's kind of like that's where I'm like, okay, okay, I know what to recommend now. So, but yeah, I'd say go for it, Dan. Go for it, go for it. And if you do, start with an old machine, an older machine, and go that way and just see if it's for you. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from testing it now, right? Oops, sorry, I'm popping in the mic. I shouldn't say there's nothing, but you can test running TrueNAS on your machine with a virtual machine right now. And I'm not saying run that as your NAS, but if you want to see what TrueNAS is like, what it's like to add disks, what apps are supported, and how it works, you can absolutely do that now with virtualization. So, yeah. Let's see. Spectral Fire. Want to thank you for getting me started in my home lab journey. It's been so great. Hey, that is awesome. Again, like, I don't know if to say I'm sorry or you're welcome, but both of them. I'm glad you found a hobby, and I'm glad it inspired you. And oh, that plane's flying low. But you might not hear this from me because I usually say it on Twitch, but for a long time, I had no idea that like there was this many people out here that like this kind of stuff, and it's funny. I came to YouTube thinking like, yeah, maybe other people do this stuff, and then I found out really quickly that hey, there are a lot of people who do this stuff. So like, I'm glad you found something you like, and for a long time growing up, like this is how I've been. Like I like to build stuff. I like to do stuff and talk about stuff that no one else even knows what I'm talking about. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there right now that think like no one understands what I'm talking about. And so that's me like 90% of the time, and so I'm glad you found a hobby, and I'm glad you found other people who understand what you're talking about, because it's pretty fun. Yeah, still people don't know what I'm talking about, but it's okay. It's okay. It's mostly probably because of me. But no, like it's funny. We're like in this hobby. Infrastructure is a hobby, I like to call it. Where it's weird that we all kind of do it, and no one told us to do it. I mean, at least for me, no one was like, "Hey, come run a server in your home." 20 years ago, no one was like, hey, bring that old computer home from work and then run a domain controller in your house, And that's kind of how it started for me. 300 megahertz PC, I'm trying to run a domain controller. You can imagine how well that went. But I tried it and it worked. It was slow. It took about 10 minutes to log in and boot up. And then it was like, okay, well, they're throwing away these PCs. Well, I can take that one and create a Linux firewall, like Smoothwall. That's what I did. I was like, cool. Yeah, I can use this open source firewall and not use like a modem or, modem from someone. This is awesome. And that's how it started. Is just funny. Like everyone's journey, like it starts at a different point. For me, it's, like probably most of you, it wasn't someone telling you about it. It's like, you just did it. And it's funny now that like there's this huge community around it called Home Lab. And, 20 years ago, I would have never known that like this was a thing that other people did. It was always me telling people they should do it. And they're like, yeah, I'm not running that at home. Oh man. All right. I got to get caught up on comments too. Cause, I might want to have dinner today. So, thank you for getting me started. Yeah, no problem at all. Let me see. Are we in the minority preferring LXC containers instead of Docker? Cool. No, I would say you're not. I mean, it really depends. I've always been bullish on Docker, or I should say Container D, right? I've always been bullish on Container D because it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. And that's not to say like Docker, the company, is everywhere, but the technology that Docker is based on, Container D, is everywhere because it's inside of Docker and it's also inside Kubernetes, right? And so it's ubiquitous. So for me, for a long time, I was just like, I want to isolate this application from the kernel. right? And from everything else, and then LXC, it's been around for a long time too. I don't know who was here first. LXC was probably here first, but LXC takes a little bit of different approach. And so, for me in my head, I was always just like, yeah, containerd, like this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to run Docker commands. I'm going to run compose, and then I'll get it in Kubernetes. But then I started doing a little bit of LXC, and I'm like, oh, I totally get it now. I totally get why LXC is awesome, because it's like you get some of the separation, not as much, but you get the separation from the operating system, somewhat. Um, but you kind of manage it like a virtual machine, but you don't have to use all the resources of a virtual machine. So it's you know it's awesome for a lot of things. And my high availability Postgres server, so I run a Postgres database, used to run in Kubernetes, which was fine. Like it's fine. There's nothing inherently wrong or limiting by running a database engine in Kubernetes, right? And I know people say, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And I agree, don't do it if you don't plan accordingly. And so, I was doing that for a long time, and I broke one of the biggest rules of database hosting in general is I ran it in a shared environment. And, the shared environment was my own environment, but I was like fighting myself for resources like IO and CPU and RAM. And so I wasn't following like one of the best practices, which, don't run it in a shared environment. And that's why it went south for me. And that's why it goes bad for a lot of people too, if they run it in Kubernetes, because they think like I have this shared resource of Kubernetes, just throw it in there. And then, your DBAs are like, why is this so slow? Why are queries taking so long to run? Like, why is it rebooting now? Like, what is going on? Why is it down? And so I think that leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. But if you're able to separate that, separate those out and say maybe run them on their own nodes, so they're dedicated. So Postgres is still in Kubernetes, but running on its own dedicated virtual machines on its own nodes, it's totally fine. It's great. Anyways, long story short, what I ended up doing was saying, you know what, I'm not going to run it in Kubernetes anymore because I'm tired about, every 4 days, like my website, my I don't know, maybe you've clicked on my redirect links. If you ever see the l.technotim.live/something, that's my short link. It seemed like every 4th day it was down. Maybe you noticed, I don't know. But because of that, it was down because Postgres was down. And so what was happening was, Postgres was down because, I was using too much IO for something, like I was running a CI job that used all the IO, and then Postgres in Kubernetes is like, oh no, like your last health check failed, and where are you? So I'm going to restart you, and then the other one restarts, and it's just cascading failures all the way down, turtles all the way down, and then my database is down, so then my short link service doesn't work. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna swallow my pride. I'm gonna swallow my pride and take those pods out of Kubernetes and put them in. Long story short, I ended up using it in LXC because I wanted 2 things. Like I wanted separation still, right? I didn't want to run a full VM. I only wanted to run, a couple services. That's the cool thing about LXC too. You're not limited to a service. You're limited to anything you can install. And so what I ended up doing was running a high availability Postgres cluster in LXC. And so now that's what I have now. It's pretty awesome. And it's running in my colocation in Proxmox, in my Proxmox cluster there. And so rather than like make, now I'm going back into like HA and where do you put HA? For me, it was easier and I think a little more fault tolerant to say, instead of an HA virtual machine, right? And saying, I'm going to have this one virtual machine highly available. And if it dies, it'll come up over here. And if that dies, it'll come up over on the third Proxmox node. I actually just ran 3 LXCs, and each of those LXCs were Postgres servers that were in a cluster. So if it fails, a lot quicker failover than if a whole virtual machine went down. So anyways, I'm going way too deep into architecture stuff, but long story short, that and T-Tech, with RIP, rest his soul, That guy built some really awesome stuff. And so he wrote the Proxmox helper scripts. If you don't know, he passed away. He wrote the Proxmox helper scripts. And when I ran those, I was like, I get it. Like I get why people love these. These are great. And so, anyways, if you are in the minority for loving them, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like each has its own, benefits. And I will say, there was so many great comments in one of his last posts. Like there's probably like 1,000 like comments on his GitHub post of people just talking about how you know because he created these scripts, they were actually able to run all of these services. And that's where I was like, yeah, this is totally he basically kind of built, quote unquote, yeah, rip T-Tech. I agree, Blade. He basically, quote unquote, wrote an app store, for LXC. If you think about it, it's kind of what he did. You go and you pick the app you want to run, you enter a command and maybe hit a couple extra buttons and boom, you got the service running on your machine in an LXC, perfectly, formatted and running with all the right resources. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And that makes me, wish that LXC had, a more I don't know, some kind of facade around it where people could just, browse it like an app store. Like everyone's now making all of these, these easy ways to install Docker containers. I think there's really a huge, huge market, at least if you're running Proxmox, and thousands of people are, at least in our circle. I think there's an opportunity for someone to, create an app store like experience on LXCs. And I think that's where T-Tech was going. And it's great. Like his scripts are so awesome. Like even if you want to create a virtual machine, you could use that script, spin one up, boom, and it's running. I ended up using his script for a couple things, but then this is where I go back and forth. Should I use virtual machine? Should I use LXC? I kind of go back and forth. The reason why I still like virtual machines is because I get Cloud Init, from Ubuntu, where I can change all this stuff, where I can pre-seed like my SSH keys and all of this stuff. So there's I'm pushing and pulling against VMs now. Like, it's great having Cloud Init, and if you never use Cloud Init, I think you should look into it because you could basically, bootstrap your virtual machine with your SSH keys. So you just don't even need to transfer them there. You could have them import them from GitHub or from some other place while it's being created, so that you can SSH into it immediately when it's up. So, but yeah, no, I agree, Evan. Yeah. VMs are just too fat. Yeah, 99% of the time. I totally agree. And so what it comes down to for me is where do I want the separation? How much does this need to be isolated? I think that's really the question you got to ask yourself. If it doesn't really need to be isolated from the kernel, LXC is totally fine. If you have no idea what I'm talking about and you want to run something fast and least resources, LXC is the way to go. I totally agree. Now, after I used T-Tech scripts and I made that video and I saw how awesome they were, now I have to ask myself every time, do I really need a VM for this? The thing that keeps me going back is Cloud Init. And it's probably because I just haven't investigated, getting Cloud Init to work with LXCs. Maybe it does. And if it does, this is the perfect scenario. Because then I get my lightweight, virtual machine, quote unquote, with all of my automations from Cloud Init, preceding my SSH keys and all of that. And then it's the best of both worlds. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. So anyways, yeah, I say pick the technology you want to use and pick the technology you want to support, and try to think about maintenance too, right? So how do you, what's maintenance on Docker Compose look like, right? Well, you have to maintain the machine. You're going to have to patch the machine, but then you're also going to have to go in and you're going to have to do a Docker pull and recreate or whatever on that Docker Compose when there's new version available. And so, is that a bug or is that a feature? Do you like pinning your containers to a specific version so it'll always work? Or do you consider that to be a hassle to go into Docker and pull a new image and get it going? And so if you consider it a hassle and you kind of think of it like a bug, like why would I ever do this? Then like LXC is a great fit because you install stuff through your package manager and you update it through your package manager too, you know. So it just depends on where you want your separation to be, for sure. And yeah, it's fun. Like there's an occasion for every tech that you want. And you just got to pick and choose on which one you want to use. Yeah, for sure. Let me see. Let me go. Man, I jumped ahead, but yeah, such a great discussion. Oh, I'm gonna say Kritchoff Psych. Hey, dude, thanks for becoming a member. I appreciate it, man. I'm totally doing bad at pronouncing your name. I want to say Kritchoff. Ah, that's so bad. Yeah, this is me on Twitter, like every every name, because on Twitter people's names are their avatar names or something, or it's like leet speak. At least on YouTube, 99, I'd say about 75% of them are real names, so it's great. But at the same time, like I can't pronounce your real name. But hey, I'm gonna go with Chris. Dude, thank you so much for becoming a member. Appreciate it. Thank you. Man, I should have lights flashing. Here, I missed it, and this doesn't work yet, but I will do the manual way. Yay. I don't have code running in here, but if I write code and write a bot, I might get banned here too, like I did on Twitch. So anyways, let's go back to here, and now we'll be in normal mode. I usually have them flash for 15 seconds. That's my thing in the code. It's flash for 15 seconds, go back to the last color it was. So, but yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm going to scroll back up and go into comments. I think I'm getting kind of okay at this. Next time I stream on here, I think I owe it to you guys to get the chat on the screen. I have it working for Twitch. I thought I had it working for YouTube. The thing is, I don't have a great way to test it until I go live. And if you've seen it in my Twitch streams, yeah, going live is sometimes a struggle there too. It's about 80-20 if the audio is going to work. Wow. I have my new sound controller now, but for a while it was 80-20 and it was the 20 it was going to work. So I always had to run a test. So, all right, let's check. Have I checked out Bazai? Hey, Richard, I haven't yet. Funny you say that because I saw Jeff from Craft Computing's video on Bazai. It looks super cool, right? A new way, a new OS kind of sort of to run games on Linux. It's awesome. It's like what we all want. It sounds pretty awesome. I shouldn't say what we all want, but a lot of the internet wants it, or a lot of the internet is rooting it on, right? So I think that's awesome. It sounds cool. I want to do it. I want to run it on a machine. And funny, like a guy from Micro Center who works there, his name is Chris. He's probably not watching, but anyways, he messaged me and he's like, "Hey, have you figured out how to get Bazai to work on Proxmox and pass through a GPU, and have the latency be okay?" I'm like, dude, you are speaking my language. Like this guy, like I was like, man, like, anyways, I was just like, I was so surprised that someone else like in the real world that I met, like said those words to me, I was like, man, I have not tried it yet, but I probably should. So anyways, I would love to try it. I would love to try it with Proxmox. I would love to try it in a virtual machine and pass, GPUs through to see if I can get it working. If not, I'd love to throw it on something that I have around here, But that we know that's going to work for the most part. So, no, I haven't checked it out. Looks totally cool. I'd love to. But I have about 3 things in the queue. But I would love to. Trust me, it's in my home lab wheelhouse. Is like Proxmox, GPUs, and gaming inside of a VM. That's kind of how I get started with my channel. So I'd love to. It would be awesome. It'd be awesome. So, anyways, I haven't checked it out. I'd love to. How many times can I say I'd love to? I'd probably say it again. Let's see. Great content. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm gonna keep scrolling. A couple of Ceph questions. I think I answered those. Yes to Ceph. If you need high availability storage, I think it's great. I think it's one of the best options, one of the few options, but one of the best options too. It's becoming really mature, and so if you plan it right and do it right, it's great, right? And you could layer on technologies on top of all of that, and that's something that 45 Drives is doing. They're spinning up SMB shares that are backed by Ceph, and so really cool stuff to think like, wow, I can have high availability SMB and high availability NFS. Like this is the dream. But again, you have to have the requirements. It's going to be fast storage, multiple machines, fast network for sure, for sure. Let's see. Now have you ever tried to use labels on nodes to do just that? Okay, I thought a while ago back to use labels on nodes in Longhorn and dedicated, storage nodes. But the principle, for other reasons. Yeah, no, exactly. So this is going back to, okay, you were talking about Postgres and running in Kubernetes. Did you ever think about, just putting labels on nodes and then, using selectors then to say, hey, you Postgres containers only run on these very specific nodes. Yeah, I thought about it, but I don't have that many nodes, and that's the thing. Like in my co-location, I have my 3 1U servers, right? And I'm overusing them. They're over. I forget the term for it, but they're over provisioned, I guess, and really over provisioned because I'm running. I think I've 3 Kubernetes clusters running there. They're all virtualized, and then each Proxmox node is running 1 or 2 nodes from each Kubernetes cluster. So each one's running 5 or 6 VMs, and then there's a big cluster across the 3. So it's weird. I mean, it's kind of cool how I have it set up, but Proxmox node 1 has Kubernetes node 1 from the first cluster, has Kubernetes node 2, node 1 from the second cluster, Kubernetes node 1 from the third cluster. So all of my node 1s, workers and servers, are on node 1 of Proxmox. On Proxmox node 2, it has my node 2s for all 3 clusters, there too. And same for 3. So it's pretty easy. Like, hey, I need to patch 1s. I need to run my Ansibles. I have one called group 1. I'm just like, Ansible, update all, reboot, group 1. And it's pretty cool because then it'll go through, patch all of my node 1 machines or my 1 machines on my Proxmox node 1, patch them all, and then reboot the Proxmox server. And I know, okay, I have 2 and 3 left. So for me, it was an easy way to say, I just did it by convention. Yep. If I need to run Ansible scripts, run them one at a time, I'll be good because I got HA services with Kubernetes. So anyways, long story short, I ran out of nodes. I ran out of nodes. I'd love to have more hardware, but I don't. And so, that's exactly one way to solve it. Going back to my shared services and how I over provision mined and I put Postgres on them, and I did exactly what I shouldn't have done. But that would solve it if I could spin up 2 more VMs. And join them to my Kubernetes cluster, right? And just make them dedicated workers, exactly what you're talking about. Put labels on them. And then when I deploy that Helm chart, I would use node selectors to then select those nodes with those labels to then say, okay, Postgres, you get your own dedicated machines. You're not shared. No noisy neighbors. You don't need to worry. Because basically, you got the whole machine to yourself, That's exactly the right way to do it. Yeah. If I had more hardware, I would. And so for me, the easy eject button was like, okay, let's put this in LXC because then it's not fighting, it's way less busy on an LXC than it being in Kubernetes. And the LXC is a lot more tolerant to latency, disk and network latency. Than a Kubernetes node is. So it was kind of a win-win because once I moved it there, the rest of Kubernetes was like, whew, well, yeah, that Postgres guy, man, he was loud. He was loud and noisy. Yeah, he's like making all kinds of noises and, we've had to boot him out a couple times and he keeps coming back. So, if my cluster could talk, it's in better shape that it's not in there anymore. And not just because there's something wrong with Postgres. It's just like, it's a pretty big, busy service, and as it should be. And I don't want to say like it's a resource hungry or anything like that. It's just, the health checks. If you fail one or two health checks, then it's just going to start, doing what Kubernetes does and trying to kick the pod. So, anyways, yeah, there's a lot better ways to architect this than what I did. And, I just tried to do it with limited resources like we all, we're all constrained in some way. And for me, it was hardware. And it would have been easy for me to bring another machine up to the colo. But I'm also, I told Will, who runs Plover, the co-location that I go through, I only want 4U. And he's like, is that all you're gonna? Yeah, I just want 4U, and I think I'm going to try to get it down to even less than that. I'd like to use consumer grade stuff at some point just for my Kubernetes stuff, right? Because really what I need is fast RAM, fast storage, and a little bit of CPU and fast networking, super fast networking. So if I can get those three things, if I can get all MSO1s, and tighten that up, that'd be great. But I don't think MSO1s has quite the storage capacity that I need, and not volume, but just having enough independent NVMe drives, spindles, I guess I should say. So, yeah, I think that's it'll be fun. It'll be fun for sure. It'd be fun to figure out. Dude, is this Alex? Oh, okay, I got some stuff. Dude, Alex, how's it going, man? All right, now I'm kind of understanding this YouTube stuff. When things happen, I see it at the top. I'm sure there's probably some other dashboard I should be looking at right now, but I'm not. But dude, Alex, how's it going, man? Thank you so much. Dude, wait, what is going on? Gifted 5 Techno Tim memberships. Dude, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. That gets some light flashing. Like, we're doing all manual in here. I don't have code running, but dude, thank you. Appreciate it. Dude, thanks for gifting those memberships. How you doing, Alex? How you doing, Alex? Old lights in here. So Alex, he's great guy all around, but he was answering a lot of my lighting questions. He's an expert in a lot of things. But he's figured out a lot of stuff with lights. And so I took his recommendation on almost every light he recommended. And pretty soon I'm going to have this, my studio. I call it a studio, really. It's just an extra bedroom. Sounds better when I say, studio, or my office. If it's during work hours, it's my office. If it's on the weekend or night, it's my studio. If it's my wife, it's, the spare room. It just depends on who I'm talking to. But anyways, he's giving me a lot of advice on some lights. So I'm super excited to try it. But at the same time, I can't stop production. I got to create 2 or 3 more videos, and then I have a break where I can take some time. But anyways, dude, thanks, Alex. I appreciate it. And thanks for the help on the lights. I'm almost outside of the Amazon return, so I guess I got to go with it. And, no, it's funny because Amazon, anything you buy in the month of November, you can return up until February, at least in the U.S. So February 1st or I should say, January 31st is my no go. And I'm willing to bet that I still will not have it unboxed by then. But anyways, I hope I do, because I want to do some cool stuff in here. Change some stuff up a little bit. This room probably looks big on here, but this is all I have to do everything. I mean, I have a server room, so I shouldn't really, I'm not complaining, but, I have a room where my home lab is, but I can't record in there. I mean, it's literally like this, and I can touch every wall. And here I have limited room too. So I want to do some different stuff. And, if it doesn't fit on there, or back here, I can't do it. And so sometimes I wheel that thing here and do it. And so I want to have more countertop space to do some more cool stuff. So hopefully the lights and the setup I got coming will help with that. So anyways, dude, awesome. Dude, thanks again. I appreciate it. I need to get caught up. This is me on comments. Man, this is awesome. This is awesome. I'm gonna keep reading comments because, man, there are so many. I love it. And this is again, if you've never been to Twitch, this is kind of me on Twitch too. I try to read every single comment that I get. But there are a lot. There are a lot. So I'm trying to get there. Mohammed Basson, what are you working on? I'm preparing 10K start release of Hoarder. Dude. 10K stars. Okay. Mohammed Bassam. So are you like a maintainer of Hoarder? Wait, 10K star release of Hoarder. So Hoarder is pretty cool. So I don't know if this is you or not. But when I read that, you say I'm preparing for the 10K star release of Hoarder. To me, that says you're a developer of Hoarder or a maintainer or the creative Hoarder, which is pretty cool. If you don't know Hoarder, it's basically like a clipbook, a self-hosted note-taking clipbook, save anything kind of plugin, so that you can save anything on the web, uh, in your self-hosted environment. It reminds me a lot of like web clipping. Almost, I don't want to say Pinterest. I won't go there. But you have a plugin that you say, hey, hoard this or clip this, and it stores it. But it's on your own environment, it's your own stuff. It's pretty cool. I considered doing a video on it a while ago. But if you're the maintainer of that, man, that is awesome. And 10K stars, that in my head, I think, oh, you must be the maintainer on GitHub. You're close to 10K stars. Well, hopefully, after talking about it, we can get you a little bit higher to 10K. So, and if not, it's a great project, anyways. And if I totally made all kinds of assumptions about you are this person, I apologize. Or maybe that's a good compliment. So, anyways, if you don't know what Hoarder is, you should absolutely just Google Hoarder self-hosted, because if you Google just Hoarder, you're gonna get all kinds of stuff. But Google, open up another tab, Google, Hoarder self-hosted, and you'll see it. It's a GitHub project, and it's open source and self-hosted. And give it a star. Like, let's get him over 10K for sure. Anyways, I'm not running it, but I know all about it, and I've read it, and I want to run it, but at the same time, I want to make content too. So this is always my push and pull. Like, do I install it now and run it, or do I just kind of wait and explore it while I'm making content? So anyways, if that's you, congratulations. That is awesome. 10K stars on a project on GitHub is awesome. Because yeah, I mean, you're doing the Lord's work. You're creating software, you're making it open source, you're managing that community, and then at the same time, you're trying to promote it, for lack of a better term. You're trying to, get some exposure on it. And it's hard getting anyone to click or look at anything. So 10K stars is pretty awesome. And again, Mohammed, if I'm making all of this up, hopefully the maintainer of Hoarder appreciates it. So, and I'm a big fan of not opening tabs and like exploring like Google. So I speculate a ton. I even have a speculate button. I do have a speculate button that I could have totally, like, I think I could have. Oh yeah, I got my speculation button, but it doesn't look too great there. Something I need to fix. You can kind of see it in the middle. Need to fix that, the opacity. Anyways, I love to speculate, especially when I'm on stream. But as I scroll through comments, I'm like, oh, I was so wrong, or I'm pretty right. I think on this one I might be close. I gotta check. I think I'm close, but usually people tell me, nope, you're wrong. Oh yeah, Hoarder 10K1. Oh yeah. I don't know if he's still in here now. I don't know if he is, but dude, congrats. I think it was Mohammed earlier. Congrats. So yeah. So that's it's fun to speculate. Because what I was saying is, like, if I start opening tabs and start Googling stuff and looking at stuff, I get so distracted, and I want to make sure I'm like paying attention to chat and everything else that's going on. So, all right, I'm gonna cruise through comments, because man, I've been on here for a long time, but this is pretty awesome here on YouTube. Let's see. Techno Tim. Sammy Safsaf. Thanks for your content. I just started soon getting my first home server. Your videos help a lot. That is awesome. Congratulations. Motorhead Moron, how much security do you work on in your own infrastructure? Yeah, good question. I feel like I might be getting socially hacked now. Tell me about the security on your home lab. And by the way, what's your mother's maiden name? Oh, what was your first pet's name? No, I'm kidding. If anyone ever asks you those questions, just don't answer them, because most likely, they're socially hacking you. But anyways, I do. So, I run some rudimentary stuff, I guess I should say. I have security scanning built in, IDS, IPS type stuff, which is going to get better here in a little bit. Anything that where do I start? IDS, IPS on the edge, right? On top of that, I have firewall rules. Well, I only allow certain ports in, basic port forwarding stuff, right? On top of that, I do some conditional port forwarding to make sure that um, any traffic coming in, I can verify that that traffic is coming from a different IP, right? And so, what's that different IP? Well, it's Cloudflare. So I use Cloudflare as a proxy to say, hey, I'm not going to give you my IP address. I'll use Cloudflare as a proxy, and people will proxy through Cloudflare to get to me. So that gives me some protection, right? Gives me some because, I don't have to give people my IP. That's security through obscurity. But at the same time, when you have thousands and thousands of people like reading my documentation and going to my website, that's traffic I don't, I don't want to have, expose my IP. So it goes through them. They're going to filter out all bots and all kinds of stuff. They're going to take care of the 80%. And then if something gets through, then I have IDS and IPS turned on, so it might filter some more. And then I do have some checks in some of my websites, like captchas and stuff like that. I think Cloudflare injects those, to check to make sure, if your reputation is kind of low, they'll do certain things. And I have security set up in Cloudflare to help determine what's what would give someone a low reputation. But for the most part, they got that down. And then what I was saying, like then my conditional port forwarding, basically firewall rule says, hey, did this traffic originate from Cloudflare? Because I only allow traffic in from Cloudflare, and I'm only hosting HTTP, the protocol, right? And so everything's over SSL. The only thing that's coming in is 443. And then when that comes in, I say, your IP better be a Cloudflare IP, one of these lists. And they have a list. They publish it as a text file on the web. And if you're running pfSense or something, you could download that on a schedule and verify that too. And so that's part of it. And then on top of that, okay, so let's say you traverse my firewall, you're in. For the most part, you're kind of okay. I don't know what you're here to do yet. And so then on top of that, then I throw you into a VLAN where only publicly hosted stuff lives, right? And so now once you get onto one of those servers, you're going to get into Kubernetes. Kubernetes is going to route that traffic to that pod. I don't know which server you're going to be on, but you're going to be on a VLAN that is dedicated for that. And then those machines that are running Kubernetes are hardened too. And they're patched regularly and all of that. Kubernetes is always up to date. The machines are always up to date, patched, for the most part. And then my containers are almost bleeding edge up to date because I use some GitOps stuff to help me do that. So yeah, I mean, trying to think, did I miss anything? I'm sure there are plenty of things I missed, but those are kind of the things that I do. Like for me, they're kind of like for someone who's in security, they're probably like, man, that's so easy. Like that's so basic, it's all the low hanging fruit. But at the same time, like, I do run security scans. So on the code side, when I build the code, I run security scans on my packages. So, any kind of, any attacks to, supply chain attacks, right? Like if someone like hacks a node module that then ends up in my code that then expose stuff, right? I scan for that. So when I build code, I scan for that. When I build the container, I scan that container and scan for that, right? And so, on the build side of that, I check, and on the infrastructure side of that, I kind of check too. And on the hosting side, I keep it segmented, patched, and then hardened for the most part. So I don't know. I'm open to suggestions. I mean, it's pretty basic stuff, my stuff. And there's probably a lot better stuff I could do. Like security people are probably like, man, this guy, what is he even doing? Like, oh man. But, busting babies, having worked as security analyst in some capacity, covering 90% of the basics will save you 90% of the headaches. Oh, that's good. Hopefully I'm covering 90% of it. I mean, there's always more you can do. Yeah, CrowdSec, Blake. I'm not running CrowdSec anymore, but I could be. I realize that like it's great. Don't get me wrong. It is great. Yeah, CrowdSec. Yeah, it's like CrowdStrike. It's so close now. Oh, busting babies. I was like, yeah, I would totally ignore busting babies. I was like, yeah, crowd sick. That's a funny name. I'm used to like weird names on Twitch. So like busting babies, like that, that's pretty par for the course over on Twitch. But yeah, on YouTube it is pretty funny. Um, but what I was saying is for sure, like going back to CrowdSec, I did run it for a little bit, but now that I have you know, Cloudflare and only traffic can come from Cloudflare, I totally should. I should run CrowdSec on top of it. I should install that agent and I should because the cool thing about CrowdSec is like you can install that agent on all of your other machines. And so if one machine detects the vulnerability or whatever, the bad actor, I guess I should say, it can let all the other machines know too. So it's a great solution, and I probably should be running it again. Once I had yeah once I redid my Kubernetes, it was kind of like do I need to? And it was kind of like I was converting to GitOps, and I'm going to list other 4 reasons, a whole bunch of excuses as to why I didn't do it, but I should be doing it too for sure. Security onion was no have I? I'm aware of what it is, and yeah, I should layer some of that on for sure too. Yeah, anything like that I could run that could give me some heuristics to look at the big picture of what's kind of going on in my network. I think we all want that, right? We all want that, especially for self-hosting stuff. Because it's that stuff's hard, and that stuff's hard to get right. I couldn't imagine using or writing that software. The stakes are high. Between something good and something bad. We were talking about CrowdStrike. The stakes are really high. A false positive, as we saw, can do a lot of damage. So yeah, that'd be scary. But anyways, yeah, I should set up a security onion, and I should test some more. And Wazaa for sure. Wazaa, I like saying it. For sure. It'd be fun to watch to see you get into the security side more. As with anything tech, it's 10 miles wide, deep across. So there's a bunch of fun possibilities. Yeah, it is for sure. It is. Yeah, maybe. I need to get help from some experts before I do it, though, for sure. Maybe call in the big guns and get some help from people. Because I'm pretty noob when it comes to that. I've been doing a lot of cloud stuff, so kind of like easy cloud stuff, I guess I should say, where it's like, security's kind of, I shouldn't say 100% baked in. But, cloud, a lot of cloud platforms have a lot of buttons you can click and things you can subscribe to protect you from a lot of stuff, so a lot of easy buttons, but they're expensive buttons too, for sure. Do a video on Cilium. Maybe. Cilium. So I do run Cilium. I run Canal, Cilium. Do I run anything else? I thought I was running 3 CNIs across my 4 clusters. I can't remember. But maybe I should. That is totally going to be Kubernetes the hard way. It's like bootstrap Kubernetes, but don't have a CNI yet. And so for those that don't know, so Kubernetes, has basically networks are a plugin to Kubernetes. Like you can shop, for your network plugins. And so CNI is container network interface. And so you can choose different ones, which is pretty cool. And so a lot of people pick different ones for different reasons. Google picks one, Amazon picks one, K3S picks one, Rancher, they're doing K3S, or RKE2 picks one, everyone picks one. And so when you get a Kubernetes distribution, it usually comes with a CNI. So you get a network layer with Kubernetes. And so you're saying, hey, use Cilium. And the way that I'll be honest, the way that I use Cilium is through a distribution that has it, or a distribution that gives it to me when I bootstrap that cluster. but the hard part is then like, okay, if I'm not doing that, then it means, okay, now I have to like bootstrap Kubernetes and then install a CNI before they can even communicate with each other. So yeah, all within the realm of possibilities. Yeah, for sure. It's I should do it. I should do it. I'm gonna start working backwards on the comments. Man, there are so many. Ravndo, Ravndo. Hey, do you ever speak at dev conferences? No, no. I mean, I have before, like like smaller ones, software dev stuff, local ones, internal ones, at a couple of companies I worked for. But no, not. I mean, I've done public stuff before. This is way back in the day. I guess I should say back in the day. So I've done, meetups. I spoke at a couple places around the Twin Cities, but never like at a huge conference. No, they'd probably be like, that guy. Yeah, don't know about that guy. No, but I mean, it's. I don't know what I would talk about. I'd figure something else out. I feel like every YouTube video is a talk for me. You know what I mean? So I'm sure I'm sure I'd figure something out. But I feel like every YouTube I'm like preparing for a talk, and it's funny because if you would have asked me, you know, 5 6 years ago, do you like public speaking and stuff? I would have been like, not really. There's a lot of prep involved, a lot of reading. You got to get it right. Got to create some slides, maybe some animations. It's got to be interesting. Throw in a couple jokes. And if you look at what I'm doing now, that's basically YouTube. So it's funny how things can change. So, yeah, I'd totally be open to it. I've done stuff on mobile, on JavaScript, even on Windows development, on .NET, on C Sharp. I mean, I've done talks both internal and in here in the Twin Cities, but never for a big tech conference. For smaller ones, yeah. Um, I'm going to work backwards. Hey, Miguel, how you doing? Hey, Tim, I have set up my OpenSense machine with CrowdSec. All right, and my server has a machine and the main CrowdSec in OpenSense, so it bans IPs on my firewall. Yeah, Miguel, perfect. Yeah, so CrowdSec, yeah, exactly. So if you don't know what CrowdSec is, it's kind of it's basically it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things, but I think at its core, it's a like kind of like a security platform where everyone shares the reputation of other IPs, and um, together, everyone can block some of these bad IPs. So I mean, I've worked with CrowdSec stuff before, and hopefully it's still the same. But you have these lists of IPs, bad actors and good actors, and people have reputation, and these lists, get downloaded to people's machines, and you could use them. And so, with other tools, if you're running other tools, they may or may not like keep a list of bad IPs or good or bad IPs, like shareable list. Sorry, just totally locked my screen. Locked my screen. I can't even see what's going on. Yeah, crowdsource IP reputation. Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, it's yeah, Blade, that's right. And um, and so CrowdSec manages those, and you could pay for their subscription service to have better, faster, more updated ones. But at the end of the day, they have this huge aggregation of people who keep IP reputations of everyone and upload them somewhere, and they decide who's good and bad, and then you can block those machines before they even attack you. And so traditionally, ban what the heck is the other? I totally forgot what it's been so long since I used it. IP ban? I forget what it's called. Anyways, a lot of it's kind of based on that same idea, except for, with traditional tools, you'd have to wait for 3 or 4 unsuccessful logins. Fail to ban. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a while. But with fail to ban, what fail to ban does, I just said that 4 times, you set it up to like look at your own logs, right? And so you set it up to look at your SSH logs, and which is great, because if you don't set something up, you never know that something's even happening. And on top of that, you never then block them. So anyways, with fail to ban, you can set up these rules to say, hey, if someone tries to log into my server over SSH 3 times unsuccessfully, they failed authentication, ban them, right? It's an IP ban to IP tables. And so they're like, boom, you are blocked. You're blocked. And so, then you can write rules to let them in or let them out, over time. And you can set those up for you think of all of the applications that can run on your server. It might be SMB, it might be SSH, there are a ton. And so setting up fail to ban it's a lot of work. And it's fail to ban doesn't share its findings or its block list with any other machine. And so if you think about CrowdSec, it's kind of like it's doing that at scale, and it's crowdsourcing it, kind of like socially, right? And so like the cool thing is if you're running, CrowdSec and, Joe over there just blocks someone, I get the updated block list, and now I blocked that someone before they even try to attack me. And so that's really cool what CrowdSec is doing. And so yeah, really cool what they're doing. And on top of that, it's not just SSH. They're looking at all kinds of stuff. And that's why, I brought up fail to ban, how, it's kind of hard to monitor SMB. Like, don't get me wrong, you could totally do it. It's probably a lot easier with ChatGPT now on how to set up all the rules for fail to ban. But minimally, I think you should have that if you have something exposed that requires authentication, like publicly, and it's not behind VPN, or it's not behind, you know, you know, I don't know, something else that's, secure. I personally don't leave things open that people can log into, you know, on the public web. All my stuff is public for sure. Social media for servers. Yeah, play. Yeah, totally. Social media for servers. Yeah, it's crowdsourced and social. Getting all social and you friend them. Yeah, for sure. Miguel, and the collection of CrowdSec help with log parsing. Yeah, as someone has already made that for you. Exactly. Yeah, so the log parsing with CrowdSec. Yeah, you can just pick a plugin. So my plugin that I used was one that was written by someone else, and it was specifically for traffic. And so it was looking at my reverse proxy traffic, and as those people were coming in to my network through Kubernetes, it was looking at every IP and saying, "Hey, yeah, you this way, you this way, you this way. Nope, you're not getting in." Basically a bouncer, and I think that's what it was called. It's called traffic bouncer. Now that I think of it, and it's exactly what it did. It's inspecting every single thing that comes in and making sure that they are at least not on the deny list. So yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. I need to take a look at it again. And like I was saying, like that's just traffic, a reverse proxy. I'm sure they have one for SMB. I'm sure they have one for almost every single service you can think of. And so, while I only use fail to ban for SSH, when I used to leave, SSH open publicly, I use fail to ban because it was one easy way to make sure that, only I could get into it for the most part. They have those agents set up for all kinds of stuff. Miguel, you are correct. The bouncer was responsible for denying the blocked IP. Yeah, all right. I remembered something from 2 years ago. All right, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. Oh, yeah, I'm doing okay. Yeah, there's a bouncer and there's something else. There's an agent, there's a bouncer, and there's something else. Now I better quit while I'm ahead. So. Hit up David. Oh yeah, Bombal. Yeah, he's a well-known security creator. Yeah, would be a heck of a collab. Yeah, busting babies. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know who David Bombal is. He had no idea who I am, but yeah, I know who he is. He's a lot of networking stuff, a lot of Cisco stuff, and then got into like a lot of security stuff. Oh yeah. He's awesome. He's awesome for sure. I'm going backwards too. Let's see. At least Cloudflare didn't ban you on Twitch. Yeah, they know you're human. Yeah, Bo Breeze. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I can pass CAPTCHAs, but I can't pass Twitch's, automatic ban. I can click I am not a robot. Like that should just, they should have showed me a CAPTCHA and said, "Are you a robot?" And I would just say no. And I would click a couple of buttons. But nope. They they just banned me. Nothing keeps you awake as a deadline for a university project. I tried to make some nice graphs out of Steam Friendless. Should have started earlier. Well, that's another failed class. Oh, come on, RC2225. No, I know what you mean. On those kind of projects. Like you get excited about, especially for school. When you first hear about it, you're like, yeah, I can do all these things. Yeah, I can't wait. And then you can wait for a long time, and then like the day before, you're like, shoot, I should have started this earlier. But yeah, try to make some nice graphs from the Steam friend list. Yeah, yeah, that sounds fun. That sounds fun. Like using the Steam API to do all kinds of stuff. Yeah, yeah. And if graphs, you should probably. I mean, yeah, there's a couple of graphing libraries out there. Man, it's been so long since I've even used graphing library. D3 is the one I used to use. I mean, that's what almost everything's based on D3, but D3JS is pretty awesome. Data.gov, I think, uses D3 for their examples. And like, you want to see big data with visualizations, it's like, whoa. Like, I'm just trying to plot a couple bars, to show, sales info. And, this is like plotting, I don't know, population of the world over time. It's pretty awesome. If you want to see some cool visualizations and just play with them, yeah, D3. And go to, D3JS is the library. And then they have, I think data.gov, they have like a whole bunch of examples. It's like, wow, this is cool. Oh yeah, little fun fact. I think the person that wrote D3, I think he worked for the Wall Street Journal and used to do visualizations for them and then wrote this library. I don't know. It's something crazy. Like this guy was like, yeah, I need visualizations for our website. And then he's just like, I'm going to write the craziest vector library possible to graph all this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's like borderline genius. Do a video on Comfy UI. Yeah, I did. I did do a video on Comfy UI. Thank you. I did. That's all in my AI. So my AI stack, I have a quick blurb on my channel. It's called Self-Hosted AI Stack or something like that. And you can find it. And that's cool if you want to get like an overview of the things you can do with AI or the things that I did that I wanted to showcase. But if you look at the first comment in there, that'll give you a link to my other channel, which gives you the 1 hour tutorial of how to do every single thing. So, this is going back to like, it's sad but true, but you have to do things for the algorithm on YouTube for the most part. Like, and an hour video isn't going to do great on YouTube. It might over time, but on day one it won't. And so, I kind of know that, the 8 to 10 minute is the sweet spot for YouTube algorithm because, based on people's habits, their attention span, even 8 to 10 minutes is way too long. Like people decide if they want to watch your video probably in the first 3 seconds of clicking. I mean, you can think of how many videos you clicked on. You're like, nope, might watch this, skip. Got what I wanted. See ya. That's just life because people are busy. Yeah, people have things to do and they want information fast. And so anyway, so if you want the information kind of fast and what you could do with AI and you just want to tell people like, hey, here's a whole bunch of self-hosted stuff, like that's the one to kind of watch and get some ideas from. But if you want to do it, then it's on my other channel on Techno Tim Tinkers. And that's it's an hour long of how to do exactly everything I did. So yeah, it's pretty fun. Mumes. Hey, Tim, just wanted to say hi from Paris, France. Paris. All right. It's almost 1 a.m. here. Oh, man, you need to go to bed. Already in bed and about to switch off. Your live will be the last thing I listen to today. Keep up the great work. Mumes. I wish I could pronounce your name. It's M-E-U-M-S. Mumes. I'm going to say Mumes because that's fun. Well, I hope, yeah. Well, thanks. Thanks for tuning in from Paris. Hello from the U.S., from Minnesota. I should say it like, yeah, Minnesota. I got to use the phone. Eh? Yeah, you betcha. Yeah, I should just I should just talk like I'm a Minnesotan the whole time. The funny thing is I'm not from Minnesota originally, but I have picked up some long O's. I've noticed like phone, like I catch myself saying phone, a little bit extended O, but I guess the accent that I have, well, mine's a little bit mixed. It's mostly Midwest, kind of like Chicago, but then with a little bit of twang every now and then, because where I'm from, like for some reason, some people had a Southern accent, like some people that lived down the street from me. I'm like, dude, how did you get a Southern accent? Like you live like 2 blocks from me, But yeah, originally from Indiana, and that's kind of how it was there. And I guess it just depends, like, did you grow up in Southern Indiana or Northern Indiana? And I was from Northern, near Chicago. So, I didn't get any of the twang, but every now and then it slips in. So anyways, it's a little twang A lot of Chicago, which is, basically the accent you hear on most news stations. It's just the generic one. And then every now and then you get a long O in there from Minnesota. I got them all. What do you use for your link shortener, Harley McFadden? I use Schlink. Um, I've talked about it before, and I'm going to talk about it here in about a week when I do all of my services and walk through all the services I use. But I use this thing called Schlink, and it's really cool because it's a back end service, so it's an API first and foremost, and then he's also created a front end for it. And I love that he has the separation of concerns. I have an API and I have a back end, and I have a front end, a client, and that connects to it. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, small developer, awesome project. Like it is so bulletproof. Outside of me, putting my databases in, Postgres and them not being up, that thing is so bulletproof. I mean, if I showed you some of the stats and some of my short links, like I have a health check that does a short link, basically wrote a health check that will check my short link service by going to a short link and then verifying I landed on that page. That's kind of how I have a test setup that does that. I mean, it has over 2 million hits. It's been running for years, every, I don't know, 20 seconds or something. And it's just bulletproof. It's so awesome. So if you want to use something a little bit more advanced, yeah, Schlink is great for that. And so when I was looking for stuff, a lot of the URL shortener stuff I was finding was like, not that it was bad, it just seemed older, like really, really old. Like, and I was like, man, I kind of want to use something that's like a little more modern, uses a more modern stack. And that's when I found this, and I'm like, dude, this guy's using Postgres. You can use MySQL if you want on the back end. And on top of that, he has an API, and then you could self-host the UI too. I'm like, oh, I'm sold. So that's what I did. And you get a little bit of stats and tracking and stuff like that, and a little bit of like geolocation stuff. Although yeah, yeah. You get some geolocation stuff based on IPs, but it's old, outdated information. So it like, I know that someone who clicked on the link clicked on it from the US. It's pretty much that generic. Um, but I do get some browser information too. So I'm like, cool. What browsers are people using? Like, should I focus more on when I write my code? Should I make sure that I run it on Safari? Or are people not using Safari? Like those kinds of things. The answer is yes. As a web developer, you should test in all browsers, except for IE. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, it's pretty cool. You should check it out. Front end, back end, self-hosted, super easy to spin up, and you'll see it here in a little bit in my tour. It's super fun. Kevin, Coolify. I haven't. That's in my short list too. That's in my short list. Um, Definitely. So I totally get it. Like it's trying to be like a Heroku or a Laravel. And if you're probably like, what did you just say? It's basically like think of like a developer platform, right? And me as a developer, I might be a developer who's like, yeah, I don't want to manage infrastructure. Like I know a lot of developers like this. Like it's a wild world when you get into developers because is like home labbers and infrastructure people like, yeah, I want to host all this. When you get in the developer world, people are like, yeah, I just want cloud. Like I don't want to think about hard drives. I don't want to think about disks. I definitely don't want to think about virtual machines. You know what I mean? And so I'm kind of pigeonholing people, and I'm only making this a caricature just to kind of so you understand like people's mindset. Some people I know are exactly like that, and that's almost verbatim what they say. And I totally get it. And so what Coolify is kind of like in like Heroku and Laravel, they give you platforms to do things. So they're like, oh, you wanna host a Node.js app, or you wanna host a Laravel app, or you wanna host a React app. Hey, you don't need to worry about build processes. You don't need to worry about CI/CD. You don't even need to worry about databases. Just come here, and here's a platform, and just spin up any infrastructure you want. And it's not like cloud, right? It's not like cloud, like you need a degree in AWS just to like create and release a disk. Like if you ever want to delete a disk from Azure, good luck. It's not like that at all. You basically just say, I want a Postgres database. Boom. You just click go and it just creates it for you, right? and then it'll give you permissions and you can use it. And so anyways, I only bring that up because I've been looking at Coolify, and it's basically creating a platform for developers. But if you're a developer of one, it's a great platform to have because you can use all of these things. You can get web hosting. You could have it auto build your code when you push it up. You can get database support, and it's all on a couple clicks of a button. So it's like the exact opposite of GitOps, but it's more based on like a developer experience. So if a developer's like, oh man, I got to build this thing quick, like I need a database. I need Postgres to store some stuff. I need Redis 2 for caching. I need builds to happen when I push my code up, and then I need something to host my website on once it's built. That's a lot of work for a developer, and they might not even know how to do it, or they might have to. It's like a ton of requests from a ton of people are buying a whole bunch of services. But in things like Heroku or Laravel or Fastly, I guess I should say. I keep saying Laravel. That's something like Fastly or Coolify. Coolify is like the self-hosted version of that. So yeah, so I've thought about it. I thought about doing some content on it. Because even if you're like a developer of one and you want to develop something, it's a lot of work. Like I know that what I do, I'm like totally in the minority where I'm like I build code, but I also like to host the infrastructure, and I also like to create the CI/CD, and I also like to expose stuff, get certificates and expose it through a reverse proxy. But I think I'm in the minority. And a lot of developers are like, man, I have deadlines. I need to create products, right? And so like infrastructure for them is just like it's I don't want to say a burden, but they just have to get it provisioned, and for some people the easiest way to do that is just click a button, say, yeah, I want a Redis server because I need caching, or yeah, I want a Postgres database because that's where I'm going to store my stuff. So Coolify is really cool. Long story short, it's a self-hosted way to do all of those things that all of these SaaS providers are trying to do for you. So pretty cool. Yeah. It depends on how critical the data is you're working. Yeah, this is ECC. Oh, I was like, yeah, for sure. How necessary? Yeah, Blade, thank you. How necessary do you think ECC is for Proxmox? I bought an MSO1 for that, but now I'm second guessing myself because it can't support ECC. I'm probably going to get a lot of boos and hisses here. But I don't know. Like, don't get me wrong. I know ECC does a lot. I know it's super important. But kind of, in the same vein of what Blade says, it depends on how important your data is. Do I have ECC RAM in my NAS for ZFS and for supercritical data that I don't want any bits to be flipped, and if they do, it'll corrupt something, and that's, I value my data integrity. Yeah, I want ECC there. From running a live stream on this machine right here, and I want raw performance, and I know I'm just going to shut this machine down when I'm done, or at least put it to sleep. Or, at the end of the day, I might shut it down, or it's in my laptop and I'm going to shut it down. Do I need ECC there? I don't know. That's kind of up to you to decide. Actually, it's up to the motherboard manufacturer to decide, because they decide who gets ECC and who doesn't, and CPU makers. But yeah, I mean, it'd be great if we were in a world where we just had it everywhere and it performed the same as non-ECC RAM, where it was just as fast, and, but I think that's like, it's like, it's the triangle where you can only pick two, where it's like performance, ECC, and cost. You can only pick two. And so, where do you go? And most people say performance and cost. And so ECC is off the table. Not because they want to, it's just because manufacturers just aren't making them for a lot of stuff. So yeah, no, I totally agree. ECC on your PC on the safe thing. Absolutely. I'm not saying anything against it. It's just hard now I mean, we're getting closer, where a lot of boards are starting to support it, but it's kind of hard to get it on boards too. So, in all honesty, DDR5 and modern day software error correction in copy on write. Oh yeah, I got that one. Copy on write file systems. ECC isn't really as needed as it used to be, but it's nice to have. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, it's like belt and suspenders, right? That's what my neighbor says. And I love it. And I love it. You know, it's just taking extra precautions. Like, is it hurting you? No. Could it help you? Yeah, sure it could. But for sure. Yeah, I'm definitely not an expert when it comes to like ECC and like, where, what the best use cases for it are. I think in my head, like my data, my NAS, like ZFS, it's like 100% RAM. Files are stored in RAM when they're written and read. And 256 gigs of that is just floating in there all day long. Yeah, sounds pretty important to me to have it. But then again, like to bring up, what 10 Liege was saying, maybe with ZFS and stuff, in modern day file systems, it's not as important. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Leroy Jenkins. Yeah, how's it going? Yeah, Leroy Jenkins. I wish it was fashionable to wear suspenders. Yeah. Don't have good luck with belts as my butt is totally flat. Flat? Oh, fat. Oh, flat. Patreon. Patreon. Yeah, maybe they will. I mean, bow ties made a comeback. Yeah, bow ties made a comeback. Maybe suspenders will. I mean, you just got to do it. You got to put yourself out there and start this suspenders gig. Yeah, I mean, or just wear a jacket. No one ever has to know you're wearing suspenders. I mean, I could be wearing suspenders right now, right? I mean, no one knows. Yeah, for sure. Hey y'all, man, I could talk all night. And the funny thing is like I'm standing up, and usually I get kind of tired, but I'm not. I'm standing. I could talk all night, but my wife is probably already like, dude, are you gonna eat dinner? Like, she's not. She's wonderful, but I should probably wrap it up. But Nix OS are my new suspenders. I like it. Well, what's your belt then? What's your belt? Nix itself, the package manager. So then you have, Nix, the package manager, and Nix OS. So yeah, that's your belt and your suspenders and hoodie. Yeah, I like it for the win. Yeah, and your hoodie. Yeah, and you need your rope belt too. Just just a rope you tie around your waist, just in case. I mean, just in case the belt and suspenders fail. Oh man, no dinner for you. Questions are more important. No, yeah, for sure. Like I maybe I should start it earlier next time, and I'll talk all day because I say this a lot on my Twitch stream. Like, and I said this earlier. Like, there's been a long time, in my life where people had no idea what I was talking about, and so, this right here is, I feel a little bit selfish doing it and talking about home labs because I get so much out of it. Like, this is the one time a week where I get to talk and like people understand what I'm talking about. And I mean, literally, like no one understands what I'm talking about. I mean, there is one person who I used to work with, and I've introduced him to home labbing, and he has a rack now and stuff like that. But I still think there's there are things I say where he's kind of like, yeah, that you kind of lost me there. Probably not. But there is one person now where I can kind of talk, but I don't talk to him on a daily basis, and so not even on a weekly basis. So yeah, getting on here and talking to you guys, is pretty awesome because man, I just get to read and hear about what you guys are working on, and actually converse with people who know what the heck I'm talking about. So yeah. Oh man, this was pretty awesome. Man, thank you guys for showing up. I just kind of hit, stream a few times because I didn't get it right the first time. For the first 10 minutes, I was streaming to myself and I didn't know it because I left it private and I had no chat. So I know what to do next time. But yeah, this was awesome. I appreciate you showing up. I appreciate all of the chat. There was new members. I appreciate that. I don't know if I can see them now because I accidentally refreshed. But dude, thank you guys so much for new members for showing up. I don't know if there's super chats. I don't have a great way to check that out. I'll check it out in the future. But thanks for showing up to YouTube. This has been really fun. And yeah, if I do this again, I'm going to get the bot going so we have flashing lights, and I'm going to get the bot going so we can change the lights in here, and I'm going to get the bot going so I don't get banned. I mean, I don't think YouTube will ban me for having a bot that helps me on my stream. Who knows, though? Who knows? But anyways, I appreciate you coming here. From the people who came from Twitch, really appreciate it. Thanks for making it all the way over to YouTube. From the people who only see me on YouTube and this is your first time seeing me, hey, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I will be back somewhere. I'll let you know in Discord, but I'll be back somewhere. Maybe Twitch, maybe YouTube. Who knows? I got to figure that out. But for the foreseeable future, I guess I'm banned on Twitch. So until that gets figured out, it's going to be YouTube. But I appreciate it. If you have questions for me, if I skipped your question or you have something you want to ask me directly and only I know the answer, feel free to ping me on social media. I'm pretty much on every social media platform, kind of because I have to be. But ping me there or join our Discord. We have a Discord community full of we're at 10,000 members. Are we there? I think we're close. But we're really close to 10,000 members. A lot of people will talk about a lot of the things that we're talking about today. A really good group of people. If you need to know where it is, it's somewhere in the links below. But if you Google Techno Tim Discord, you'll find it. It's a partner Discord. So it should be even just discord.gg/technotim. You should be able to get in there. Pretty easy. Let's go dark mode. Yeah, I should end on dark mode. Yeah, thanks. How awkward should I make this in here? I'll make it real awkward. Turn off all of the lights in the office. Sorry. Killing me. Turn on all of the lights in the main office. Yeah. All right. So we will end on dark mode. This is like as dark as it kind of gets. I'll even make it a little bit darker. I mean, this is, you can't even see me. So anyways, thank you guys. Man, this is kind of awkward. I actually need to here, let me turn on one more. So it's kind of not as awkward as this. Man, it's man, it's so nice having smart stuff. Not that light. Should I go with the, I don't know which ones I need on. Oh, that's good. That's good enough. But yeah, again, if you want to join Discord, you absolutely should. It's pretty awesome there. Pretty laid back. It's not just all about me. It's all about you guys. So I'm just a participant in that Discord. So that's why I say our Discord, because it totally is. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for the new members. Join the Discord if you want. I'll be somewhere next week and I'll have something out for you here this week. It's going to be my home lab tour, walking through everything, every piece of hardware that I have. It's going to be pretty long. So anyways, thanks again for showing up. I appreciate all the comments, all the talk. I'll be here next week. Man, thank you guys so much. Be good to each other and take care, folks. See ya.